Chapter 261 White Jade Lotus Seed. Chen Shang and the others, after relaxing for a few days, suddenly heard the extreme martial sect's gathering bell. Not only the true disciples were gathered, there were also the disciples above true martial realm. 100 or so people have gathered in a large courtyard inside the extreme martial sect's mysterious realm. Ji Yu Dongchen first praised the bravery of Chen Shang and the others, then personally gave them rewards. This was also the most exciting moment, in particular for Zhu Rong. 1,000,000 crystal stones, 500 true elemental dans, bronze disciples and silver warrior medals, as well as direct entry to the King Martial Courtyard without any assessment. This made many onlooking disciples extremely envious. Ji Yu Dongchen too intentionally convened these disciples, ruthlessly made them envious and made them feel regret. After the gathering ended, Wu Keiming and Ji Yu Dongchen entered a private room with Chen Shang. Young martial uncle, this time, you made my heart bleed too much. The heavenly heart flame was something I had collected a very long time ago. Ji Yu Dongchen complainingly said. Chen Shang pursed his lips and said, you bunch of good-for-nothings, you were almost hoodwinked by these devil path and also sent us to our deaths. If not for your martial uncles, my breakthrough at the critical moment, you cannot so leisurely sit here. Both Wu Keiming and Ji Yu Dongchen could not say anything. If not for Chen Shang, this freak, in the southern wasteland, perhaps now they would have been plunged into a bitter single. Both of them were very well aware of the fact that there were many powerful guys sealed in the southern wasteland. Young martial uncle, didn't you say you have building foundation dans? Can't you sell some to me for a little less? Ji Yu Dongchen asked. Chen Shang gave a pout before raising his head high, not a crystal stone less, 500,000 for one, buy or not, I don't care. The extreme martial sects, Dean, a 7th tribulation nirvana realm martial artist, was someone whom Chen Shang would not be afraid about not having crystal stones. If Ji Yu Dongchen encountered such a person, he would have originally ruthlessly struck him down a couple of times. However, looking at his martial nephew's identity, he knew that Chen Shang also gave a very reasonable price. If the building foundation dans were taken for auction, and if he encountered someone with urgent need, it could be sold for a much higher price, not just 500,000 crystal stones. Ji Yu Dongchen and Wu Keiming were both somewhat speechless, but now there was no other way. How many do you have? Wu Keiming ASED. 40. You guys can only buy all of them at once, otherwise, I will not sell them. Chen Shang laughed and said. Young martial uncle, Zhu Rong, that fatty, I'm afraid is not as sinister as you, forget it, we will take it. Wu Keiming forcefully smiled and said. Do you want crystal stones or true elemental dans? Ji Yu Dongchen asked. True elemental dans. Because some auction houses only accept the true elemental dans, by the time he entered those, he would need to go in exchange for true elemental dans and that would definitely be very troublesome. The total worth was 20,000,000 crystal stones, and exchanging them for true elemental dans amounted to 4,000. Previously, Elder Dan had also taken out many true elemental dans in one breath. Today, Ji Yu Dongchen was also like that, and it was evident that in the hand of these tycoons, there was a large amount of true elemental dans. However, they intentionally let others feel the scarcity by only taking them out bit by bit. The dans could be preserved for a very long time, and these 10,000 years old tycoons, for so many years, had certainly accumulated a lot. After all, it was also an important resource for the development of the sect. When Chen Shang returned to the extreme Dan King courtyard, he didn't find Elder Dan, and he also discovered that no one took care of his herb garden. This caused him to feel somewhat doubtful. Elder Dan very much cared about his herb garden, however, now that it was put aside, although it wouldn't really matter that much, it was just that the growth of the herbs would slow down a lot. Chen Shang knocked on the door of Wu Qianchen. Wu Qianchen, since coming back, became very diligent. For several times, Chen Shang went to find her, but she was focused on alchemy all the time, and it was the case even now. Qianchen, have you seen Elder Dan? Chen Shang asked. No, I'm also looking for her. However, she had said that if I can't find her, then there is no need to look for her. It's very likely she had went into closed-door training. Wu Qianchen replied. Her whole body at the moment was drenched in fragrant perspiration, soaking her thin clothes, closely sticking along with her charming tender body. It was very eye-catching. Chen Shang, from time to time, glanced at her bosom, which was met with a light spat as she covered her bosom quickly. I want to refine dans. I think that I will be able to refine 4 dans with 1 set of herbs very quickly, then from your hands, I can earn true elemental dans. Chen Shang laughed and said, then increase your efforts, your strength is already pretty good, however, there is still room for improvement. Don't always keep yourself occupied with alchemy, make sure to be uniform in every other aspects. Wu Qianqian nodded her head. Chen Shang returned to the herb garden and diluted the golden dragon saliva coalesced in the southern wasteland into the water, before watering the various rare herbs and flowers in the herb garden. Sister Mei Yao, do you think the white jade lotus flower can be grown into a lotus? Chen Shang suddenly thought of this and excitedly asked. No idea, but you can try. However, the white jade lotus seems to be grown in water, which is in the sea of the Lotus Island. Su Mei Yao said. Chen Shang hastily fetched a small pond in the herb garden and said, how to irrigate it. It was also his first time watering the herbs to make them grow. Directly pouring into the water was not enough, it would directly mix with water. Very easy, just use your divine sense to wrap the golden dragon saliva, and then control it into the water. Afterwards, you just have to infuse it into the white jade lotus seed. Su Mei Yao said. Chen Shang placed that bead braving in white light into the water, before taking out a small bottle of golden dragon saliva. At the same time, he poured it into the water and wrapped it with his powerful divine sense, creating an invisible white shield on the outer layer of the golden dragon saliva, isolating it from the water. This way, it could seep into the white jade lotus seed. If the white jade lotus seed could absorb it, then we could assume that it could be planted. If you had a lot of these, in the future, it will be very difficult for you to die. Su Mei Yao tenderly laughed and said. Although it was in the water, Chen Shang could sense the situation of the golden dragon saliva, and he could also see it being absorbed by the white jade lotus seed. This made him very excited. The hell spirit grass, although a sacred healing herb, was still not good for planting, because it required death chi, while the effect of the white jade lotus seed was somewhat better than the hell spirit grass, not to mention that it could also be planted. In this way, even if he had completely used up all of his hell spirit grass, he still did not need to worry about sacred healing herbs. Chen Shang now also had 100 building foundation dans, but at the moment, he still didn't know how to use them. He still hadn't found the suitable candidates for nurturing, and Yun Xiaodao and the others had already eaten too many. Eating more would do more harm than good, and that would also make their foundation unstable. As for him, there was no obvious effect if he took them, and they would only be wasted. It seems I have to go to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire to find Sister Menger and sell a little to her. Chen Shang thought he could ruthlessly dupe Lu Menger a little, and he secretly thought it was cool. He was not only planning to look for Lu Menger, he was also planning to go to Danxiang Taoyuan. However, he first wanted to see whether the white jade lotus seed could be planted or not. At the moment, it still could not be determined. Currently, he was also not sure when there would be any activity in the white jade lotus seed. Moreover, he had used just enough of the golden dragon saliva, and he still had some coalesced golden dragon saliva left. Looking at those azure profound trees, Chen Shang decided to not ripen them first. He was not in need of the building foundation dans at the moment. Moreover, he was also lacking in dans which could allow him to improve his cultivation a tad bit faster. For instance, the 5 elements true elemental dans. Now he was still collecting the ingredients, and he was sure it would not take him too long before he could gather all the ingredients. By that time, as long as he had a stable foundation, he could immediately improve. Chapter 262, The Missing Genius. Chapter 262 The Missing Genius. The King Martial Courtyard in the extreme martial sect's mysterious realm, although it was small, Yun Xiaodao and the others did not feel disappointed. On the contrary, they were rather excited. In their opinion, entering this King Martial Courtyard was an honor. Chen Shang and the other 10 were all gathered here. As soon as he came, he saw Yun Xiaodao and Zhu Rong wearing 2 small medals on their chest, which was the clear proof of being a bronze disciple and silver warrior. Chen Shang was unable to hold his laughter. It seems only the 2 of you can be high profile. As he glanced at the others, he discovered that the others were unlike them. This is what we got after busting our asses in the southern wasteland, and this is our honor. Yun Xiaodao replied as if he did not care at all and struck out his chest. Zhu Rong also proudly said, while I have these 2 medals, on the way, the others looked at me with different expressions in their eyes. Chen Shang shook his head and smiled, when you can get the golden casted medal, then show off again. With one glance, everyone will know that you guys are lazy. If it was someone who cultivated regularly, he would have already thrown it away. Yun Xiaodao let out a snort and said, can't I wear it on the first day of the King Martial Courtyard? At this moment, Ji Dongchen arrived. He was the chief of the King Martial courtyard, and Chen Shang and the others still didn't know in the end what was so special inside this courtyard. In Chen Zhang's eyes, for the dean to personally teach them martial skills, it didn't really amount to anything, but for the other disciples it was a kind of a special treatment. Everyone, before going to the southern wasteland, were all trained by Ji Dongchen. Now, they did not feel any need for formality, it was as if a junior was just facing his elder. They could speak and smile nonchalantly. During the 3 months of special training, our elder courtyard has analyzed your strengths and weaknesses. Now, I will arrange your cultivation in accordance with this aspect, and teach you martial skills. Ji Dongchen said. Everyone were suddenly thrilled inside their hearts. Before, the 3 months of special training was for them to survive in the southern wasteland, and at that time, they were more or less worried whether they could come back or not. But now, they were in the King Martial courtyard for at least 3 years, and they could even get guidance from Ji Dongchen himself. There are 3 alchemists here, and to not affect your alchemy I have made a better arrangement for all of you. Ji Dongchen then looked at Chen Shang and slightly smiled. Chen Shang, you are now a lot stronger than the other 9, I also don't have too much time, that's why you will have to sacrifice your time. I will not personally guide you, the time saved will be spent on other disciples. Chen Shang shrugged his shoulders as a look of, it was none of his business, appeared on his face. His teacher was Huang Jintian, and the obtained inheritance could already make Ji Dongchen envious himself. Moreover, Ji Dongchen didn't really have anything to guide him. Ji Dongchen began to talk about some cultivation, but Chen Shang was not interested in this. After yawning, he immediately left, and this caused Yun Xiaodao and the others to feel somewhat sorry, because Chen Shang could not receive the guidance of Ji Dongchen. Chen Shang walked out of the extreme martial sect's mysterious realm. He knew that in the future, he might rarely get a hold of Yun Xiaodao and the others. A while ago, he had heard of some of the plans of Ji Dongchen, and in his heart, he was secretly laughing, especially for Zhu Rong. Zhu Rong's time was heavily scheduled, and it would definitely be extremely arduous. Every day, staying in the extreme Dan King courtyard had caused him to feel bored. He roamed around in the martial courtyards one by one, yet he still failed to find any good seedlings. What are you doing here? Quickly go sign up, a man shouted at a group of people walking down the road. Sign up for what? A man asked somewhat confusedly. Don't you know, 30 years ago, the missing genius with 3 pulses has returned, moreover, he has advanced to the 7th level of the true martial realm. He now wants to rope in some people and go out for some experience, but first, those people would need to go through his assessment. That man replied. The group of people were all old, and they knew who that missing person was. After they heard of his return, they suddenly rejoiced and hastily followed along with that man. Genius that was missing for 30 years. Chen Shang rubbed his chin as he also hastily followed along, he wanted to see who this person was. 3 pulses represented that one could cultivate 3 kinds of true qi. However, it required a rather good martial exercise, and only then would cultivating it be possible, otherwise, it would be difficult to advance. The cultivation process was also very complicated. Take Chen Shang for example, if he could control his true qi better, then regarding his strength, there was no need to speak of it anymore. This man was actually outside the extreme martial sect. Along the way, Chen Shang also saw a lot of people. After hearing the news, all of them were rushing, because if they were selected, they would get a lot of dans, and that was rather very attractive. Senior brother, are you also going? A man seeing Chen Shang following everyone along, immediately asked. Chen Shang nodded his head and laughed, going to join in the fun. The man replied, you'd better not go, this guy is the disciple of Elder Liu. He is also a high-level foster son of the Liu family. Chen Shang frowned. The Liu family had migrated long ago and left the extreme martial province. The extreme martial sect's high-level figures also knew Liu family had colluded with the devil path, however, there was no evidence, that was why they could not do anything. The Liu family did not pose a threat to the extreme martial sect, so the extreme martial sect also put it aside. Furthermore, there were no important people in the extreme martial sect from the Liu family. It doesn't matter. I have not offended him, moreover, Liu family has done some things to me, who doesn't know this? I only did what a normal person would have done. Chen Shang pursed his lips and said. Although he said so, he had already done some preparation for that man. This time, he also wanted to take a look at that man's bottom line. 30 years ago, the man was indeed a genius, though he was probably not better than Chen Shang. But at that time in the extreme martial sect, everyone knew his name. Lu Jia, he disappeared for 30 years, where the hell did he went? Chen Shang, in his heart, was doubtful as he walked rather slowly. He was somewhat suspicious that the Lu family had been colluding with the Devil Path sects from a very long time ago. If this Lu Jia went inside these Devil Path sects, and now he came back again, then it might be a conspiracy of the Devil Path sect. If he had returned somewhat earlier or later, Chen Shang wouldn't have such doubts, but now he had come after the Devil Path's plan in the southern wasteland failed. Chen Shang could not help but become suspicious. Su Meiyao suddenly said, "You have to be careful, the Devil Path sect in the southern wasteland have suffered heavy losses, and if that guy, Lu Jia, really came back from the Devil Path sect, I'm afraid he has come for you." Chen Shang certainly have thought of this, however, this was in the periphery of the extreme martial sect, and Chen Shang also had nothing to worry about. It was inside a hotel on the 3rd floor. This time, outside the hotel, there were many people, and they were all waiting in line for their interview. People from inside kept on coming out, and all of them had a look of disappointment. There is indeed a 7th-level true martial realm martial artist, the true chi within his body are fire, lightning and gold respectively. 3 kinds of attribute, and they are also very pure and have overbearing true chi. Long Shui suddenly determined. Chen Shang was now in the 5th level of the true martial realm. Not to mention 3 pulses martial artist, against a single pulse, he would not necessarily be victorious, but he would manage to be even against 1. Although his true chi was very rich, his current cultivation level at the true martial realm was still inferior. One must know that the more the true chi was gathered, the higher the degree of compression would become. By observing his true chi, he does not appear to be from Devil Path. However, he doesn't really need to know Devil Path martial exercise, because just like you, your true chi is pure as well as rich, yet you can still use powerful devil techniques. Bai Yu said. Chen Shang didn't step into the hotel, turned around and left. He felt he must look for Wu Kaming, make him pay attention to this Lu Jia. He had just turned around, before a rather dull voice with a sliver of pride came, "Since you have come, why leave?" God knows from where the sound came. It was not very loud, yet everyone felt as if it rang inside their ears. This was the voice of Lu Jia. Chapter 263, Ghost Martial Technique. Chapter 263 Ghost Martial Technique. Hearing Lu Jia's voice, Chen Shang was a bit surprised. While coming over, Chen Shang had converged his breath, yet he was still sensed by Lu Jia. It was obvious that Lu Jia's divine sense was not on the weak side. Chen Shang had not planned to meet with Lu Jia, so he pretended not to hear him. Rather, Chen Shang just continued to walk, but immediately after from above, he heard the sound of a window opening, before a man jumped down from the 3rd floor of the hotel and stood in front of him. Lu Jia was garbed in a luxurious white robe and was holding a fan. He was very handsome with his sword-like eyebrows, long eyes and fair complexion. At the moment, he was sizing up Chen Shang. "Was it you who killed my master?" Lu Jia dismissively asked. From the expression in eyes, not a sliver of anger could be seen. This caused Chen Shang to feel strange. Originally at the entrance, there were many people standing, and all of them recognized Chen Shang and Lu Jia. In many people's opinion, Lu Jia should be somewhat stronger than Chen Shang. However, Lu Jia's master death in Chen Zhang's hands was well known to everyone, and Lu Jia hating Chen Shang was also taken for granted. But now seeing Lu Jia looking so indifferent made everyone feel strange. Chen Shang replied, "Yes, I killed him." Lu Jia slightly smiled. "My master has always been my target, and my teacher was killed by you, so now you are my target. Do you dare to have a bout with me?" The other party was in the 7th level of the true martial realm, 2 levels higher than Chen Shang. Chen Shang wouldn't take on this kind of stupid matter, because if he didn't use the Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade, he would be a lot weaker. Moreover, he had just entered the 5th level of the true martial realm, and he was yet to fully familiarize himself with his current capability. "Not interested," Chen Shang replied. Once these words came out, Lu Jia's complexion immediately changed. It turned a lot colder. Chen Shang felt something was wrong. Just as he had this kind of feeling, he was invaded by a dangerous feeling. "Be careful," Long Shui tenderly shouted, but it was too late. Chen Shang only felt a power fiercely bombarding on his dantian, so as to make his body seem to be struck by a million of jin of power. Although he did not have the time to dodge, the true chi within his body automatically operated, and also most of the power was resisted by the black tortoise adamantine armor hiding under his skin. Chen Shang, from the impact of the sudden invading power, retreated 2 steps. From the corners of his mouth, a trace of blood gradually flowed out and dripped on the ground. At the moment, his 5 zhong and 6 fu were all ruptured. Just a moment ago, he felt everything within his body was being pressed upon, as if it was being crushed. In just a blink of an eye, he was seriously injured. The true chi within his dantian was difficult to mobilize, because most of his meridians had been damaged. If he forcefully utilized true chi, it would only cause even more serious damage to his meridians. Chen Shang clenched his fist. His line of sight was currently somewhat fuzzy, but it gradually recovered. Now, his complexion was somewhat pale, yet it was still full of anger. "What's the matter with you?" Lu Jia asked. Chen Zhang's whole body quivered. He found Lu Jia had been standing there with that fan in his hand, and yet he was able to release such a powerful attack, not even the least bit of aura was leaked. The surrounding people were also giving a strange look to Chen Shang. They only saw Chen Shang retreat 2 steps a moment ago, and then blood suddenly overflowed from his mouth. "Lu Jia, I'll not let you off." Chen Shang wiped the trace of blood on the corners of his mouth, before he spoke with an expressionless look, appearing very tranquil. If not for the fact that he himself was capable, perhaps he would have been crippled a moment ago. Lu Jia started out rather heavily. "Now do you want to compete with me?" Lu Jia once again slightly smiled. His smile was rather cunning. Chen Shang knew Lu Jia must have used some powerful means to attack him, however, it was not seen by others. He himself did not see anything, and he knew that this kind of attack was definitely formidable. "No, I'm going to kill you," Chen Shang coldly said. He had not even walked 2 steps, before he suffered a lightning-like kick, hitting him on the knees and causing him to kneel on one knee. Everyone was immediately shocked. All of them fiercely backed off as they realized something must have definitely occurred a moment ago, which caused Chen Shang to speak out these kind of ruthless words. Lu Jia's face turned completely cold. Extreme martial sect's top youngest expert, good prestigious name. "I now want to make you kneel. I'd like to see what is your ability. Seriously, I hate your very face. I'm jealous of the fame you got. I want to destroy you. I'll use my strength to prove that I'm stronger than you." While speaking, Lu Jia grabbed Chen Zhang's hair, while his foot was on Chen Zhang's other knee. He intended to make Chen Shang kneel on both legs. Chen Shang was completely angry. He did not expect Lu Jia's thoughts would be so abnormal. Chen Zhang's arm suddenly turned incomparably fiery. This was the power lended to him by Long Shuiyi. She too could not stand idly and watch. "Kneel down." Lu Jia raised his leg as he shouted with a grim voice. He vigorously kicked on Chen Zhang's other knee. In his opinion, Chen Shang was already heavily injured and was not able to resist anymore. Chen Zhang's anger had reached the boiling point. His face turned very red as shocking slaughter chi overwhelmingly emerged at the hotel's entrance, sending many bystanders to involuntarily quiver. At this moment, they felt as if they were in hell. They felt that the slaughter chi could seize their life at any moment. Chen Shang had killed a lot. The evil creatures he had killed were rather difficult to count, so the slaughter chi he accumulated could even make those deans feel ashamed. Lu Jia, at this moment, was slightly astonished as he stared at Chen Shang in dismay. On one knee, Chen Shang burst into a roar. This roar was filled with anger like a dragon's roar, causing the entire hotel to slightly shook from its power. The roar echoed everywhere, and it was extremely terrifying. At the same time he let out that furious roar, Chen Shang blasted out his fist like a thunderbolt, and it ruthlessly and quickly landed on the only visible part between Lu Jia's 2 legs. That crazy fist strength suddenly surged into Lu Jia's body, and he was unable to endure it as he fiercely spewed out a mouthful of blood. After that terrifying strength entered Lu Jia's body, even undulations burst forth from his body with the fierce winds. In an instant, the place where Lu Jia stood was completely wrecked. With both of his hands covering the place in between his legs, Lu Jia trembled and retreated a few steps back. His complexion turned ashen, but there was more of a shock written all over his face. He himself was rather clear of the power Chen Zhang's fist had exuded from a moment ago. Either quickly get out, or continue to stay in the extreme martial sect. Whoever insult me must die. Chen Zhang's voice was filled with hate. It was sharp as a blade, bringing about a lingering fear to everyone nearby. Chen Shang stritted away. Although Long Shuiyi's power was still there, he could not use it. His body had suffered serious injuries, yet he had still used Long Shui's great power, and this would make it difficult for him to recover. If he was even a tad bit more seriously injured, he would have been crippled. A while ago, that guy hit you with a fist in a very, very quick speed. Moreover, his attack was so quiet, that when I discovered it, you have already been hit. Long Shui said. This kind of martial skill is very rare. Is it the legendary ghost martial technique? Su Meiyao doubtfully said. Chen Chong returned to the extreme Dan King courtyard. He had ruthlessly punched the manhood of Lu Jia, yet he was only injured, nothing more. The power within his fist a moment ago was not at all weak, but it could be seen that Lu Jia's defense was also stronger. Chen Chong knew that Lu Jia was a powerful enemy. Chapter 264, Black Tortoise External Strength Technique. Chapter 264 Black Tortoise External Strength Technique. After eating a piece of hell spirit grass, Chen Chong felt a lot better. However, his injuries were still very serious, which left him with no choice but to eat some more hell spirit grass to recover faster. Ghost martial technique. Chen Chong felt that it was definitely something frightening. An invisible martial skill. A martial skill similar to a ghost, thus its name. However, this kind of ghost martial technique has already been lost with time. Its learning conditions are also very harsh. Su Meiyao said till here, before she burst into a strange laugh. Bai Yuyu let out a cold snort as she spoke. The ghost martial technique has always been learned by females. If a man insisted on learning it, the consequence could only be one in the end, that is the shriveling of his manhood. The corner of Chen Zhang's mouth fiercely twitched for a while. He suddenly understood why when he struck in between Lu Jia's legs, he didn't felt anything there. No wonder this guy is so abnormal. Chen Chong slightly gasped. Although he had a high bounty on his head, many people were jealous of him. After all, his name was already well known throughout the entire Chenwu mainland, and many martial artists dreamed to be world famous. All of them had degrees of vanity. I want to kill this guy, I want to become strong. Chen Chong fiercely pounded both his fists on the ground and ruthlessly shouted. Regarding the ghost martial technique, we don't know too much about it, but from looking at his attack, we discovered that the true chi he had used was very strong. From the start, he wanted to kill you, so he exhausted all his power. However, after it struck your body, the strength was less than in general, and because of your tough powerful body and the black tortoise adamantine armor, your life was saved. Su Meiyao said. Although that scene when Chen Chong got attacked was quite short, it was still clearly engraved in their mind, so they could perform such a detailed analysis. So you have to toughen up your body. If you use the universal true chi along with divine exercises, your strength should be comparable to his. But, you still have to defend against his ghost martial technique. If he had attacked you again, you would have definitely died. Fortunately, that guy wanted to make you kneel down to him. Bai Yuyu said. A powerful body, it was rather easy to speak than to make it the truth. Just wanting to become stronger would not make him stronger. Currently, his immortal and devil body was at second level, however, he could not progress and reached a bottleneck. Not to mention in a short time, even if I have a long time, it's difficult to progress in my body cultivation. Chen Chong heaved a deep sigh. Says who? When you had obtained the black tortoise adamantine armor last time, didn't you get a black tortoise external strength technique? Bai Yuyu said. Chen Chong's eyes lit up, he had almost forgotten. At that time, he had given it to these two beauties to look over. The prerequisites are rather harsh. The first thing required is to have a second-level immortal and devil body, the second is to have an extremely large furnace, along with someone who is very proficient in controlling the flames, the third requires the cultivator to jump into the furnace and operate the cultivation method of the black tortoise external strength technique inside. The fourth is to be able to come out of the furnace alive. Su Meiyao said. The corner of Chen Zhang's eyes twitched. Wasn't this committing suicide? Jump into a furnace for tempering. What is he supposed to do if he got cooked alive? This is just the entry stage of the black tortoise external strength technique. According to aforementioned records, if the entry stage is accomplished, your second-level immortal and devil body would directly advance to fifth level. Bai Yuyu said. Listening to her tone, she very much supported the idea of Chen Chong going through the tempering. The second-level immortal and devil body already made Chen Chong extremely powerful, not to mention the fifth level. If his body was not in the second level, he would not have been able to do so many things. For instance, fuse with the fire spirit, learn powerful divine exercises or devil techniques, all of which had very high requirements for the body. How long would it take? 3 days and 3 nights. This is just the entry stage. After the entry stage, you will need to gather other mixtures to temper your body. If it is the furnace, then ordinary molten iron would be enough. Listening to Su Meiyao's words, Chen Zhang's complexion turned pale. Molten iron, jumping into it for refining, and that too for 3 days and nights. Chen Shang would very much like to know who thought out this abnormal external strength technique. He would also like to ask whether this person had actually gone through this kind of body tempering. Chen Shang shook his head. As long as it was any sane person, they would feel fear regarding these methods. I do not meet enough conditions, I don't have that big of a furnace, nor can I think of anyone to help me in tempering. Chen Shang said with a wry smile. You absolutely meet enough. The Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire's Empress definitely has this kind of furnace. She is a grand refiner. In regards to controlling flames, that is definitely not a problem. You have already seen her body, moreover you know each other's many confidential secret, she will definitely help. Su Meiyao let out an ambiguous tender laugh. From here, the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire was somewhat distant. However, if he used the vermilion bird fire wings, he would be able to reach it quite soon. Moreover, from a long time ago, he had wanted to visit and take a look around. Lu Jia, I'll definitely kill you, even make you kneel before me. Chen Shang became resolute in his heart, and decided to go to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire and go through the tempering. 2 days passed and Chen Shang had completely recovered. If not for him having the Hell Spirit Grass, he wouldn't know how long it would have taken him to recover. Moreover, Chen Shang and Lu Jia's matter had already spread to the ears of many people. However, Chen Shang had always been staying in the extreme Dan King courtyard. Those who wanted to find him could not find him. Wu Kaming and Ji Yudongshan both knocked on the door, but it was only opened by Wu Qianchen. Wu Qianchen knew Chen Shang was recovering inside the private room, that was why she did not bother to go. Regarding this, she had also been very concerned. These past 2 days, Yun Xiaodao and the others had all met with her to ask about Chen Zhang's situation. Chen Shang, how are you? Wu Qianchen hadn't refined any dans these past 2 days, she sat in the room waiting for Chen Shang. From the information she had heard, Chen Shang was spewing blood, and was almost forced to kneel down. She had a pretty good understanding regarding his strength. The fact that he vomited blood was evidence in itself that Chen Shang had been seriously injured. Chen Shang mischievously smiled. I'm all good now, I've recovered from my injuries, that guy hasn't left yet, right? Wu Qianchen saw Chen Zhang's mischievous smile and heaved a long sigh. That guy called Lu Jia challenged an elder yesterday and also defeated him, even though the elder was in the 8th level of the true martial realm. He was very strong, both the dean and elder Wu attested to this. Chen Shang was shocked in his heart. Lu Jia could fight with a 8th level true martial realm elder. He was sure his own fist was quite heavy, and with the aid of Long Shui's power, it was comparable with 7th level true martial realm, even though he had weakened the power at that time in order to not damage his own body. You want to kill him? Wu Qianchen asked in some worry. I'm definitely going to kill him. Whoever insults me must die. Chen Shang coldly said as invisible slaughter chi suddenly overflowed from his body, making Wu Qianchen's whole body cold. If Dean and Elder Wu come to look for me, tell them I went to the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. Qianchen, you do not need to worry about me. As long as Lu Jia remains in the extreme martial sect for 10 days, I'll definitely send him to hell. Chen Shang threw out this sentence, before he walked out of the extreme Dan King courtyard. He quietly left the extreme martial sect in Tianmen City. Currently, there was still a 15 million crystal stones bounty on him. He must improve rather quickly to deal with this. After leaving the Tianmen City, Chen Shang released the vermilion bird firewings and soared into the sky. He arrived above the clouds before he flew towards the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. It would probably take him 2 or so days to get there. If he had not strided into the 5th level of the true martial realm, it would have taken him even longer. After 2 days and 2 nights of uninterrupted flying, a rather huge city far away appeared in Chen Zhang's view. This was the largest of the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire, the Divine Weapon City. Chapter 265, Refine Me. Chapter 265 Refine Me. Chen Shang saw a blade and a sword erected at the entrance of the city, causing him to suddenly utter a cry of shock. Both the blade and the sword were rather huge, they were even higher than the city walls, and it seemed they were forged of iron. After entering the city, a rather bustling scene of the city came into Chen Zhang's view. Most of the store inside were selling weapons and armors, moreover, he could also hear many sounds of hammering of iron. Because the refining of equipments required flames, there was a floor of refining on each of the store. This led to the rise of the entire city's temperature. The citizens here were very sturdy, all of them were tall, strong and very warm. But of course, no small number of people also came from other provinces. Majority of them came here to buy the appropriate weapon, or came to get the goods to sell in other provinces. East of the city was the Divine Weapon Palace, which was surrounded by red high walls. It was the same as the extreme martial sect and had many courtyards of various sizes. In the past, it used to be the Divine Weapon sect, the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire's main organization. Inside there were not only disciples, there were also some officials who were responsible for dealing various things for the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. Just as Chen Shang arrived at the entrance of the Divine Weapon Palace, he stopped and took out the token given to him by Lu Menger. "I want to see your empress," Chen Shang dismissively said. He had easily arrived here since he had not encountered any kind of attack on the way. Wearing a straw hat, a big beard on his face, and also an eye patch covering one eye, made it harder for others to recognize him. Those guards at the main entrance, after seeing the token, did not dare to show the slightest bit of neglect, and had someone arranged to go with Chen Shang. As far as they know, not many could have this token. If required, the token could be used to mobilize the army of the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. Having this token was also the proof of good relation with Lu Menger, and it was also the sign of her trust. These guards knew Shui Shenxian also had one. If Chen Shang was familiar with the Divine Weapon Palace, he could also walk around with that token, but currently, he was not even aware of the meaning of the token. Chen Shang followed that guard through courtyards one after another, and finally arrived at a very remote place. In front is Her Majesty's residence. "I cannot go there, I don't dare to approach any closer." After speaking these words, the guard hurriedly left. In front, there was a very big courtyard, and Chen Shang could even see a small mountain inside. At the same time, he could also smell the fragrance of flowers wafting from inside out. Indeed, it was the residence of a female. No one was around the large courtyard. It was rather quiet in here, and one could hear the cries of birds coming from the courtyard from time to time. Chen Shang walked over. Originally, he had planned to directly go over the wall into the room and give Lu Menger a pleasant surprise, however, he didn't expect he would be sent into retreat by a powerful force. A very powerful formation was actually guarding the courtyard. "Who?" From inside the courtyard, a noble yet cold and beautiful shout came out. "It's me," Chen Shang replied low-spiritedly. The door automatically opened. With a mischievous smile, Chen Shang immediately walked inside. Just as he entered, the door was automatically closed, which made him secretly amazed. Lu Menger was actually lazy. After entering, a beautiful woman wearing a white longuette, leisurely sitting on the soft lawn, came into his view. Her eyebrows were twitching as she was observing a spirit pattern picture on a paper. At the moment, her pretty eyes were glistening strangely. This place was overflowing with the fragrance of flowers, as well as an intoxicating body fragrance of female. Seeing the elegant, refined and with noble bearing Lu Menger in front, Chen Zhang's heart fluttered. He could not help but think of various ambiguous things he had experienced with her inside his mind. This made his lower abdomen suddenly hot. Humph! Lu Menger, although she still hadn't seen Chen Shang, still felt the bizarre temperature change in Chen Zhang's body, causing her to spat. Regarding Chen Shang, this little rascal, she was already used to his demeanor. Lu Menger stood up and walked towards Chen Shang. Feeling the fragrant wind blowing, Chen Shang, who was in a daze, suddenly regained his senses as he mischievously laughed and said, "Sister Menger, I came to see you." "Right, where is Shenxian? Is she not together with you?" "I have sent her to the Icewind Valley. Both Shenxian and Yulin have the very same constitution, going there for her is very good." Lu Menger glared at Chen Shang in resentment. With arms akimbo, she let out a tender snort before asking, "What is it? Quickly speak." Looking at that face that was as peerless and as beautiful as jade, Chen Shang mischievously laughed, "Sister Menger, I truly came to see you in Shenxian, and I conveniently want your help too." Humph. Usually, Lu Menger would have a cold, proud and noble attitude, but after encountering Chen Shang, she was at her wit's end, and her real character was exposed. Chen Shang scratched his head and laughed foolishly, "Sister Menger, aren't you going to ask me to sit down, then give me some tea or something?" "Pooh, you have some bussiness with me, why should I serve you?" Lu Menger concluded that Chen Shang came because of something. Although she herself and Shui Shenxian often told Chen Shang to come here, They knew Chen Zhang's character. If he truly wanted to come, then he would have already arrived. Lu Menjie directly sat down on the lawn and said, "Just sit down, you don't have anything to hurry about, but I'm very busy." Chen Shang sat cross-legged on the ground. Looking at Lu Menjie, he laughed and said, "Sister Menjie, are you angry at me?" Lu Menjie tenderly snorted and said, "Who dares to get angry with you? You made us, old tycoons, bleed so much. On the contrary, Hua Shangyu, that seductress, only gave you a bit of dance which didn't held any value." Chen Shang was surprised for a moment. He suddenly felt Lu Menjie seemed to be jealous and also interested in him. This made his heart suddenly palpitate as he felt some sort of inexplicable excitement. "Sister Menjie, you are truly stupid. How could you send Yulin and Shenxian to the southern wasteland? That was too dangerous." Chen Shang blamingly said. When Chen Shang raised this matter, Lu Menjie suddenly got angry. With her tender finger, she ruthlessly poked on Chen Zhang's forehead as too tender blush could not help but emerge on her beautiful face. "It is all because of you. I wouldn't have let them go, but Yulin, that girl actually said big rabbits. Since I didn't let her go, she kept on saying, humph, humph. Finally I also had no other options as I could only make Shenxian follow her along, lest anything went wrong with that thick-skinned girl." Lang Yulin's voice was full of complaint. It was all Chen Zhang's fault, and it was him who had taught Lang Yulin everything. Chen Shang embarrassingly started laughing. Cough, cough. "Sister Menjie, I have 20 building foundation dans. Does your divine weapon Heavenly Empire want it? If you want it, I can sell them to you." Lu Menjie was surprised first, before she hastily replied, "I want it. Say your price." An evil smile appeared on Chen Zhang's face. "Kiss me and I'll give you." Lu Menjie tenderly spat in response and said, "Don't joke, quickly say the price." Suddenly, the smile on Chen Zhang's face disappeared. He solemnly said, "I don't want money, I just want Sister Menjie to help me with something." Lu Menjie frowned tightly and asked, "What is it? Speak what you need." "Sister Menjie, do you have a big furnace?" Lu Menjie nodded her head. "I have. I usually use the big furnace for refining a large number of materials for refining equipments. Do you want me to help you refine something? Did you come to me for this trivial thing?" Chen Shang shook his head and said with a wry smile, "I don't want you to refine something for me, rather, I want you to refine me." What? Lu Menjie suspected she had heard him wrong. Refine him? Was it not a suicidal act? Chapter 266, Jealousy. Chapter 266 Jealousy. Chen Shang, seeing the slightly surprised appearance of Lu Menjie, handed her a beast skin. Lu Menjie's memory was excellent. She remembered when Chen Shang obtained the black tortoise adamantine armor, this beast skin was inside, with the black tortoise external strength technique written on it. At that time, Chen Shang wanted to give her a copy, but she had refused. As she opened it, those esoteric martial art method appeared in her view. Because it was a powerful divine exercise, her breath couldn't help but turn heavy as her chest heaved up and down. "I didn't expect it to be so formidable. However, the requirements are considerably high. It actually requires second-level immortal and devil body. You should have not reached it yet." Lu Menjie said. According to her knowledge, the second-level immortal and devil body should be comparable to the body of an 8th or 9th level true martial realm martial artist. She had also reached that level in the past. After looking through the black tortoise external strength technique, Lu Menjie immediately understood why Chen Shang came to look for her, but now she was considering whether she should help Chen Shang or not. If refining him had some mishaps, then Chen Shang would end up dying. "I have already reached it," Chen Shang said as he scratched his head while laughing. Lu Menjie's tender body quivered. With a look of disbelief, she glanced at Chen Shang. Her slender and tender hand rushed over to Chen Shang like lightning, grabbing a hold of Chen Zhang's wrist. She said in a soft voice, "Don't resist, I'll check if you truly have the second-level immortal and devil body. If you have it, then I'll help you." Under normal circumstance, Lu Menjie could not see through Chen Shang at all. If she didn't carefully probe Chen Zhang's body, in her eyes, Chen Shang would be same as an ordinary man. As she let her divine sense enter Chen Zhang's body, she probed the strength of his body. If she hadn't done this, then she would have never noticed. However, the moment she did, she immediately discovered that Chen Zhang's body was far more stronger than she had imagined. "Humph, you hide too well." Lu Menjie retracted her hand back. Chen Shang mischievously laughed and said, "Sister Menjie, I want to deal with a powerful guy. I want to quickly become powerful, that's why I can only take the risk. If I can successfully cross the first stage, in the future, it will be much simpler. But by that time, I still have to trouble Sister Menger. Lu Menger let out a light snort and said, how come you did not go to look for Hua Shangyu, that seductress? She is also very strong. Chen Shang could not understand. After he had arrived here, he had never even mentioned Hua Shangyu, yet Lu Menger had already spoke of her twice. Sister Menger, when can we start? I'll give you 20 building foundation dans as a compensation. This compensation can't be considered low. Chen Shang said. 20 building foundation dans were naturally not low. What Lu Menger must do was very simple, and it was rather simpler than refining spirit equipment. She just have to look after the furnace and control the flames well, that was enough. Follow me. Lu Menger carefully considered for some time, before deciding to help Chen Shang. Even if Chen Shang had not offered to give building foundation dans, she would have still helped him. She wanted to obtain the building foundation dans from Chen Shang, because she must prepare before the great storm. She wanted to train many powerful disciples to consolidate their basic strength. She could feel Chen Shang was good to her. Although he usually molested her, but it still brought both of them closer. Sister Menger, to tell you the truth, my dean bought them from me. I sold it to him for 500,000 crystal stones for 1 dan. You are my Sister Menger, that is why I brought them along with me. If I have more in the future, I will give them to you. Chen Shang smiled and said. To women, using the materialistic attack was extremely effective. Take Elder Dan for instance, she was rather obedient now. While speaking, Chen Shang took out 20 true elemental dans and gave it to Lu Menger. Chen Shang, from where did you get so many building foundation dans? Lu Menger asked rather doubtfully. She took a look and found that these building foundation dans were all of top-grade quality. Chen Shang mischievously laughed. If I said they were refined by me, will you believe? I don't believe, Lu Menger immediately replied. Accompanying Chen Shang, they walked towards a hill in front. At the foot of this hill, there was a cave entrance. Chen Shang just laughed. In the future, when you see Elder Dan, ask her, then you'll know. Lu Menger still didn't believe. Rather, with jealousy in her tone, she asked, how did you hook up with Hua Shangyu, that seductress? Chen Shang pursed his lips. Sister Menger, why do you care so much about this? Shenxian was not as tensed as you. A flush appeared on Lu Menger's pretty face. She herself didn't know why she was always concerned about this, but whenever she thought of Hua Shangyu ambiguously touching Chen Zhang's cheek, she would always feel inexplicable uncomfortableness in her heart. I'm worried for Shenxian. Are Yulin and Shenxian not enough for you? Lu Menger said in a low voice. She was already aware of the feelings Leng Yulin had for Chen Shang. She knew Leng Yulin would stay together with Chen Shang sooner or later, and Shui Shenxian wouldn't be against it. On the contrary, she would just get very close with Leng Yulin. How can it be enough? Unless Sister Menger also marries me. Chen Shang touched his chin as he said with a grin. Lu Menger bit her lips, turned around and hit Chen Zhang's head. You're joking in front of me, that's okay, but never ever say that in front of Shenxian and the others. Explain honestly, in the end, what is your relation with Hua Shangyu? Although she is a very powerful woman, you brat have many means in hand. Hua Shangyu getting closer with you is not impossible. Even Hua Shangyu, an aloof Nirvana realm figure, didn't have any resistance towards Chen Shang at all. I came to know her in the secular world. Chen Shang, one by one, lay it all about how he encountered Hua Shangyu in the secular world. On hearing this, Lu Menger was very surprised. She didn't expect Hua Shangyu to actually have such close relations to Chen Shang. She knew Hua Shangyu's status was not low, but at that time, that seductress actually let Chen Shang, the little rascal who had not even entered the true marital realm, to look at her body. Moreover, it was also intentional. This woman's insight is actually so formidable. She had actually foreseen you'll have today's achievements. Shenxian and Yulin were also not mistaken, and you were actually not tempted. Lu Menger heaved a sigh. Chen Shang asked, Sister Menger, who the hell is Hua Shangyu? It seems she is responsible for managing Danxiang Taoyuan. Don't ask me, I too am not clear with things about her. Many years ago, she suddenly jumped out of nowhere, claiming to be a maid of the dean of the Danxiang Taoyuan. In her hands, she has the token of Danxiang Taoyuan's dean, and now she is responsible for dealing with many matters of Danxiang Taoyuan, as well as all those which were handled by the elders. Lu Menger shook her head. Don't you regret not accepting her as your woman that time? Of course not. Now, whenever I want to make her my maid, it will be done. Chen Shang proudly replied, although he was just joking. Who would believe it? Although that seductress is coquettish, she is extremely strong, at least in the nirvana realm. Usually, she would have very little contact with other men, but why would she be so good to you? Lu Menger said doubtfully. Chen Shang also did not understand this, he just laughed and said, this is my charm, Sister Menger, weren't you also impressed by my charm? Pa, don't boast, keep a little bit of your strength for screaming. You will definitely die from pain. Lu Menger spat out a mouthful of saliva. As they walked into the cave, Chen Shang felt a bizarre stifling heat coming from inside the cave, causing him to become rather tensed. Chapter 267, White Jade Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 267 White Jade Dragon Cauldron. After entering the belly of the mountain, a huge square furnace came into his view. It reached the top of the hill and exuded a continuous scorching hot aura. Although it was very common in appearance, it could be easily seen that this huge furnace was ancient. It's very big, Chen Shang exclaimed. No need to use this for refining you. It would be too wasteful, I'd rather use this. Lu Menger took out a four-legged furnace. It appeared to be made entirely out of white jade, but it was also very small. Chen Shang looked at that little jade cauldron on Lu Menger's palm and could not help but burst into laughter. Sister Menger, are you kidding me? What can this little thing do? There's no way anything but my little finger can be refined in there. Lu Menger glared at him and said, inexperienced fellow. After Lu Menger put the jade cauldron on the ground, her eyebrows knit together as a white light suddenly burst out of the jade cauldron. It started growing in size, before it became as high as a human, in the blink of an eye. Chen Shang was suddenly dumbfounded. This jade cauldron could suddenly become many times larger, he knew this kind of mystical thing was definitely very rare. As if to confirm his suspicions, Su Meiyao soon tenderly shouted, this is the White Jade Dragon Cauldron. It is also made up of dragon jade, similar to your brilliant flame dragon furnace, this woman is truly marvelous. Otherwise, she would not have the vermilion bird tender thread along with this cauldron. Her parents must be famous figures in the heavenly realm. The White Jade Dragon Cauldron incorporates many rare materials, due to this, the cauldron can become larger or smaller. The largest it should be able to become is the size of a hill. More than 10,000 years ago, it once appeared in the heavenly realm, setting off a sanguinary, but later there was no trace of it to be found anywhere. Long Shui was also very surprised. This White Jade Dragon Cauldron could be said to be better than your brilliant flame dragon furnace. Chen Shang gulped mouthful of saliva and said in surprise, Sister Menger, is this the White Jade Dragon Cauldron? At this time, Lu Menger turned around in surprise as she hastily asked, how did you know? My mother and father told me that I absolutely can't reveal the name of this cauldron, otherwise it would bring a fatal disaster. Chen Shang said softly, this cauldron should have set off a spree of plundering and murdering within the heavenly realm all those years ago. Was your kiss of the Jade Dragon also given to you by your parents? In the end, who are your parents? They actually are so formidable and even gave you so many good things. Lu Menger also felt very confused regarding this matter. She shook her head, I don't know either. How do you know about this White Jade Dragon Cauldron? The senior told me. Chen Shang spread his hands and smiled. He had already told Lu Menger that he had obtained the guidance of a mysterious senior. Which was why he knew about so many things. Lu Menger faintly sighed. Chen Shang had also told her that he needed to keep the identity of this senior a secret, which was why she could not ask anything. When I refine equipment, this cauldron has aided me a lot. It allows me to do double the work with half the effort. Moreover, the refined materials are all much better. That being said, I rarely use it. Only when I want to refine something extremely powerful will I use it. Lu Menger made the White Jade Dragon Cauldron turn a lot smaller. Afterwards, she placed pieces of iron in it, for Chen Shang to soak in. Sister Menger, why was the weapon refined for Yulin not that good? In the southern wasteland, she was using a run-down blade, while Shenxian's weapon was quite good. Chen Shang asked. Rest assured, I'll refine a good weapon for her. Do you think I'm biased like you? Only good to one person. Lu Menger said with a pouty face, which looked rather cute. The onlooking Chen Shang very much wished to squeeze her face. When was I biased? I'm innocent. Chen Shang spread his hands and asked. I'll not give you half of the adamantine crocodile python. Leave it alone so I can use it to forge Leng Yulin's weapon. Lu Menger made the White Jade Dragon Cauldron become a lot bigger, before pressing one hand on the foot of the furnace. As she poured in the fire, a bunch of flames from her tender palm surged out, before the snow-white furnace suddenly turned fiery red. The iron pieces inside it melted, becoming molten iron in the blink of eye. Cut the crap, you must be well prepared. Going inside is not a joke. Lu Menger weakened the fire, then once again put in a few pieces of golden red stones. The molten iron inside suddenly started seething and broke out with scorching chi waves one after the other. Seeing this, Chen Shang could not help but gulp a mouthful of saliva. This molten iron could really send fear into one's heart. Chen Shang had already memorized the cultivation chanting formula, there was nothing to prepare for anymore. He took a long deep breath, thinking of the insufficient strength he had in the scene where he was almost forced to kneel down by Lu Jia, his blood boiled with anger and he clenched his fist tightly. Chen Shang off his clothes, which caused Lu Menger to suddenly utter a rather sharp scream and blush. She hastily flung her head and yelled, "Little bastard, what the hell are you doing?" Chen Shang grinned mischievously, "Of course I'm undressing. Taking a bath while wearing clothes, is such a thing comfortable for you? Although the last time you unknowingly showed me your big rabbits, I know it is rather disadvantageous for a woman, that's why I'm paying you back. This way, we're even." Lu Menger suddenly felt extreme shame and anger. She was red all the way up to her ears, she fiercely stamped her foot before tenderly shouting, "Don't you fear I'll burn you to death. You little rascal, how can you always be this annoying?" Chen Shang fiercely took a jump and landed at the edge of the furnace. He looked at the golden red molten iron below, and suddenly his hair stood up. He took few deep breaths and said with a wry smile, "Sister Menger, you cannot bear to burn me to death." After Chen Shang finished speaking, he jumped down into the cauldron. Just as Lu Menger wanted to say something, she heard Chen Shang squealing like a pig getting butchered. Her complexion turned pale from fear, she hastily and tenderly shouted, "Little rascal, are you all right? How are you feeling? If you cannot bear it then quickly come out." Seeing this noble and decorous beauty so concerned about him, Chen Shang felt warmth. He felt there was nothing to fear, and clenched his teeth before saying, "I'm all right. In order to become strong, I'm ready to bear any kind of pain. Sister Menger, increase the temperature, it is not high enough. I'm exercising the skill, but it is not working." Lu Menger nibbled her red lips. She also didn't know why she felt pain in her heart. She increased the fire, which made the special molten iron in the furnace fiercely start seething. Meanwhile Chen Shang burst into bellowing bray which made her heart secretly throb with pain. "Why do I always accompany this little rascal in doing something crazy?" Lu Menger asked herself. Her nibbled lips were about to bleed from the constant pressure. "Listen up you little rascal. I'm going to mobilize the bizarre formation inside the white jade dragon cauldron to increase your flow of time. On the outside, it will be only 3 hours for me, but it will be 3 days for you. However, I must cover the lid. If anything goes wrong, tell me immediately using your divine sense." Lu Menger said. She found that after hearing those painful screams from Chen Shang, she could not calm herself down. If she could not control flame well due to her flaring emotions, Chen Shang would fail in his cultivation. "All right, hurry." Chen Shang found the temperature inside rather unstable, and he had yet not successfully exercised the skill. After the lid was covered, the mountain belly suddenly quieted down. However, Lu Menger's heart was still not calm. She was extremely worried about Chen Shang, but just a moment ago she could see Chen Zhang's desire for power. This was the way Chen Shang could steadily achieve the power he desired, she had to do her best to help him. Chapter 267 White Jade Dragon Cauldron. After entering the belly of the mountain, a huge square furnace came into his view. It reached the top of the hill and exuded a continuous scorching hot aura. Although it was very common in appearance, it could be easily seen that this huge furnace was ancient. "It's very big," Chen Shang exclaimed. "No need to use this for refining you. It would be too wasteful, I'd rather use this." Lu Menger took out a 4-legged furnace. It appeared to be made entirely out of white jade, but it was also very small. Chen Shang looked at that little jade cauldron on Lu Menger's palm and could not help but burst into laughter. "Sister Menger, are you kidding me? What can this little thing do? There's no way anything but my little finger can be refined in there." Lu Menger glared at him and said, "Inexperienced fellow." After Lu Menger put the jade cauldron on the ground, her eyebrows knit together as a white light suddenly burst out of the jade cauldron. It started growing in size, before it became as high as a human, in the blink of an eye. Chen Shang was suddenly dumbfounded. This jade cauldron could suddenly become many times larger, He knew this kind of mystical thing was definitely very rare. As if to confirm his suspicions, Su Meiyao soon tenderly shouted, "This is the white jade dragon cauldron. It is also made up of dragon jade, similar to your brilliant flame dragon furnace. This woman is truly marvelous. Otherwise, she would not have the vermilion bird tender thread along with this cauldron. Her parents must be famous figures in the heavenly realm." The white jade dragon cauldron incorporates many rare materials. Due to this, the cauldron can become larger or smaller. The largest it should be able to become is the size of a hill. More than 10,000 years ago, it once appeared in the heavenly realm, setting off a sanguinary, but later there was no trace of it to be found anywhere. Long Shui was also very surprised. This white jade dragon cauldron could be said to be better than your brilliant flame dragon furnace. Chen Shang gulped mouthful of saliva and said in surprise, "Sister Menger, is this the white jade dragon cauldron?" At this time, Lu Menger turned around in surprise as she hastily asked, "How did you know?" "My mother and father told me that I absolutely can't reveal the name of this cauldron, otherwise it would bring a fatal disaster." Chen Shang said softly, "This cauldron should have set off a spree of plundering and murdering within the heavenly realm all those years ago. Was your kiss of the jade dragon also given to you by your parents? In the end, who are your parents? They actually are so formidable and even gave you so many good things." Lu Menger also felt very confused regarding this matter. She shook her head, "I don't know either. How do you know about this white jade dragon cauldron?" "The senior told me." Chen Shang spread his hands and smiled. He had already told Lu Menger that he had obtained the guidance of a mysterious senior. Which was why he knew about so many things. Lu Menger faintly sighed. Chen Shang had also told her that he needed to keep the identity of this senior a secret, which was why she could not ask anything. "When I refine equipment, this cauldron has aided me a lot. It allows me to do double the work with half the effort. Moreover, the refined materials are all much better. That being said, I rarely use it. Only when I want to refine something extremely powerful will I use it." Lu Menger made the white jade dragon cauldron turn a lot smaller. Afterwards, she placed pieces of iron in it, for Chen Shang to soak in. "Sister Menger, why was the weapon refined for Yulin not that good? In the southern wasteland, she was using a run-down blade, while Shenxian's weapon was quite good." Chen Shang asked. "Rest assured, I'll refine a good weapon for her. Do you think I'm biased like you? Only good to one person," Lu Menger said with a pouty face, which looked rather cute. The onlooking Chen Shang very much wished to squeeze her face. "When was I biased? I'm innocent." Chen Shang spread his hands and asked. "I'll not give you half of the adamental crocodile python. Leave it alone so I can use it to forge Leng Yulin's weapon." Lu Menger made the white jade dragon cauldron become a lot bigger, before pressing one hand on the foot of the furnace. As she poured in the fire, a bunch of flames from her tender palm surged out, before the snow-white furnace suddenly turned fiery red. The iron pieces inside it melted, becoming molten iron in the blink of eye. "Cut the crap, you must be well prepared. Going inside is not a joke." Lu Menger weakened the fire, then once again put in a few pieces of golden red stones. The molten iron inside suddenly started seething and broke out with scorching chi waves one after the other. Seeing this, Chen Shang could not help but gulp a mouthful of saliva. This molten iron could really send fear into one's heart. Chen Shang had already memorized the cultivation chanting formula, there was nothing to prepare for anymore. He took a long deep breath, thinking of the insufficient strength he had in the scene where he was almost forced to kneel down by Lu Jia. His blood boiled with anger and he clenched his fist tightly. Chen Shang off his clothes, which caused Lu Menger to suddenly utter a rather sharp scream and blush. She hastily flung her head and yelled, "Little bastard, what the hell are you doing?" Chen Shang grinned mischievously, "Of course I'm undressing. Taking a bath while wearing clothes, is such a thing comfortable for you? Although the last time you unknowingly showed me your big rabbits, I know it is rather disadvantageous for a woman, that's why I'm paying you back. This way, we're even." Lu Menger suddenly felt extreme shame and anger. She was red all the way up to her ears. She fiercely stamped her foot before tenderly shouting, "Don't you fear I'll burn you to death. You little rascal, how can you always be this annoying?" Chen Shang fiercely took a jump and landed at the edge of the furnace. He looked at the golden red molten iron below, and suddenly his hair stood up. He took few deep breaths and said with a wry smile, "Sister Menger, you cannot bear to burn me to death." After Chen Shang finished speaking, he jumped down into the cauldron. Just as Lu Menger wanted to say something, she heard Chen Shang squealing like a pig getting butchered. Her complexion turned pale from fear. She hastily and tenderly shouted, "Little rascal, are you all right? How are you feeling? If you cannot bear it, then quickly come out." Seeing this noble and decorous beauty so concerned about him, Chen Shang felt warmth. He felt there was nothing to fear, and clenched his teeth before saying, "I'm all right. In order to become strong, I'm ready to bear any kind of pain. Sister Menger, increase the temperature, it is not high enough. I'm exercising the skill, but it is not working." Lu Menger nibbled her red lips. She also didn't know why she felt pain in her heart. She increased the fire, which made the special molten iron in the furnace fiercely start seething. Meanwhile Chen Shang burst into bellowing bray which made her heart secretly throb with pain. Why do I always accompany this little rascal in doing something crazy? Lu Menger asked herself. Her nibbled lips were about to bleed from the constant pressure. Listen up, you little rascal. I'm going to mobilize the bizarre formation inside the white jade dragon cauldron to increase your flow of time. On the outside, it will be only 3 hours for me, but it will be 3 days for you. However, I must cover the lid. If anything goes wrong, tell me immediately using your divine sense. Lu Menger said. She found that after hearing those painful screams from Chen Shang, she could not calm herself down. If she could not control flame well due to her flaring emotions, Chen Shang would fail in his cultivation. Alright, hurry. Chen Shang found the temperature inside rather unstable, and he had yet not successfully exercised the skill. After the lid was covered, the mountain belly suddenly quieted down. However, Lu Menger's heart was still not calm. She was extremely worried about Chen Shang, but just a moment ago she could see Chen Zhang's desire for power. This was the way Chen Shang could steadily achieve the power he desired. She had to do her best to help him. Chapter 268, 5th Level Immortal and Devil Body. Chapter 268, 5th Level Immortal and Devil Body. Inside the white jade dragon cauldron, Chen Shang kept on howling in pain without stopping. At this point, the temperature had already been stabilized, and as he operated the exercise, the true qi revolved in accordance with the specified circulation in his meridians. The molten iron stimulated his body, giving birth to a peculiar energy that appeared in his bones and muscles. It was a kind of golden energy that directly fused with his muscles. Chen Shang had experienced endless pain, and the idea of giving up had appeared many times in his heart. But whenever he thought of Lu Jia wanting to trample on his dignity, determination stemming from anger arose in his heart, making him persist on enduring. I absolutely cannot give up. Chen Shang wrathfully pounded his fists on the furnace, bursting off with bang bang sounds. Little rascal, do you want to come out? Lu Menger asked with her divine sense. No, Chen Shang immediately replied. The true qi within his body has already started revolving, and entered an excited state. Although he was enduring the pain, he felt his body transforming bit by bit, and this made him incomparably refreshed. If he was successful, he would acquire the 5th level immortal and devil body. If exchanged with an extreme state's body, it would not be as formidable as him. In other words, his defense in the future would become even more formidable. During the refinement process, Chen Shang had already controlled the black tortoise adamantine armor into not resisting the scorching heat, otherwise there would be no point in jumping inside the furnace. After an hour passed, Lu Menger once again asked Chen Shang whether he wanted to leave or not, but after discovering that Chen Shang could still answer, she heaved a sigh of relief. Although only an hour had passed on the outside, within the furnace, a whole day had already passed by while her true qi and divine sense kept on being drained. Pushing the time formation required a lot of her strength. After all, there was a living person inside. For this kind of perverse actions of Chen Shang, Lu Menger knew she could not use common sense to deal with it. Chen Shang was only just a few levels into the true martial realm, yet he had tempered his body into the 2nd level of the immortal and devil body, which was extremely difficult. And after the refinement, he would have the 5th level immortal and devil body, which was even more astounding. There was not a moment when Lu Menger was not worried about Chen Zhang's life. She decided not to do this kind of crazy stuff together with Chen Shang ever again, because this kind of worry was unprecedented for her. She was worried Chen Shang would die, and thinking of the smiling little rascal leaving her, her heart suddenly felt a throbbing pain. As Chen Shang cultivated in accordance with the black tortoise external strength technique, he only felt the strength of his body soaring. He had never felt like this before. In just a short 3 days, he felt his own body was several times stronger than 3 days ago. Although he had advanced by only 3 levels, each additional stage of the immortal and devil body was pretty much different. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Of course, only 3 hours had passed on the outside. In these 3 hours, Lu Menjie was worried to death. She suddenly felt her own feelings for Chen Shang, those vague feelings, becoming clearer and clearer, but she neither dared to admit nor dared to face this fact. She heaved a complex sigh and scolded, "With what kind of sweet talk, did this little rascal really bewitch me? In the future, I must avoid him. Sister Menjie, I can come out." Lu Menjie suddenly heard Chen Shang shouting with his divine sense, so she hurriedly retracted the flames. As she opened the lid, she saw Chen Shang leisurely lying on the inside, simply as if there was no molten iron inside, and as if he was just enjoying in the hot springs. "Little rascal, are you successful?" Lu Menjie shouted in astonishment. Although she was surprised, she was rather joyful. "Successful, but currently, my whole body is aching. Sister Menjie, you have to massage me, anyways, you have to help me," Chen Shang grinningly said. As he crawled out of the white jade dragon cauldron, Lu Menjie immediately turned her head and tenderly spat, "Little rascal, someday I'll make you look good." Chen Shang dressed himself, grinned and said, "Sister Menjie, thanks a lot. Can I kiss you as thanks?" "Pooh, no wonder you are successful. Your facial skin is so thick that you are not even afraid of molten iron." Lu Menjie scoffed and said. She walked over, and with her delicate and beautiful hands, she fiercely pinched Chen Zhang's waist and vigorously gave a twist. Chen Zhang's soft flesh began turning as Lu Menjie tenderly laughed and said, "Don't think your 5th level immortal and devil body is formidable." Chen Shang felt the pain in the waist, and he suddenly began howling, "Sister Menjie, I was wrong, quickly stop." Lu Menjie was in the nirvana realm. Although she had not refined her body, but with the intake of spirit qi round the year, her body was nurtured with the true qi, making it become very strong. As a nirvana realm martial artist, with just a little bit of her strength, she could make Chen Shang feel pain within an inch of his life. "Who told you to always bully me?" Lu Menjie released Chen Shang as she angrily spoke. "I just want to dote on Sister Menjie. It's just that Sister Menjie does not appreciate it." Chen Shang stuck out his tongue. Seeing Lu Menjie's angry and shy appearance, he secretly complained in his heart. The divine weapon Heavenly Empire's Empress was truly alluring. With just a simple gesture, she could already capture a man's soul. Lu Menjie glared at him, "Knock it off, I'm but Shenxian's and Yulin's master, you have to respect me. If others came to know we have this kind of relationship, they would definitely gossip." "What relation?" Chen Shang asked while smiling. "Humph, you little rascal, I hate you to death." Lu Menjie stamped her foot on the ground and tenderly scolded, "You quickly get out. You're always making me angry." Chen Shang suddenly pointed at the white jade dragon cauldron behind Lu Menjie and said, "You see that white jade dragon cauldron?" Lu Menjie immediately turned her head around. Chen Shang immediately approached her face and kissed on her tender cheeks. This caught Lu Menjie by surprise for a moment, before she burst into a series of curses while Chen Shang had already run out of the cave. Lu Menjie's beautiful face was flushed red. She softly snorted, before she received the white jade dragon cauldron and went out. "Be careful that you don't get killed. You still have Shenxian and Yulin." Lu Menjie knew Chen Shang was going to fight a powerful adversary, thus she exhorted. "I also have my beautiful sister Menjie." Chen Shang grinned ear to ear, then rushed out of the courtyard entrance. He swaggeringly walked into the divine weapon palace. If not for his need to return quickly, he would have definitely stayed with Lu Menjie for some time. Being together with the Empress made him strangely excited. Chen Shang flew back to the extreme martial sect, and in total, it only took him 5 days. Before he left, he also gave the black armored crocodile he had obtained in the southern wasteland to Lu Menjie to let her forge an armor for Leng Yulin. After returning to the extreme martial sect, Chen Shang immediately inquired about Lu Jia's location, and he came to know that he was in the first martial courtyard. In that place, he had already roped in a lot of people, and he also fared very well with several true disciples of the first martial courtyard. After Chen Shang and Lu Jia's matter occurred, Chen Shang had disappeared, and according to Lu Jia, Chen Shang would not be able to recover before 1 to 2 years. This clearly proved he was a lot stronger than Chen Shang. However, many thought he was just being shameless. Not only was he older than Chen Shang, he was also a lot stronger than Chen Shang in cultivation. He got so proud after winning against Chen Shang, as if he had won against a 9th level true martial realm martial artist. Humph, a 7th level true martial realm guy winning against Chen Shang, a 5th-level true martial realm martial artist, and actually still boasting. He really has thick skin. Zhu Rong, while looking at Lu Jia far away in the square, ridiculed. Exactly, this kind of guy is simply not in the same level as elder brother Chen. Yun Xiaodao sneered in agreement. Their voices were rather loud, causing many to hear. After the distant Lu Jia heard, his complexion turned incomparably colder. His figure suddenly disappeared, and in the blink of an eye, he had already appeared in front of Zhu Rong. Damn fatty, do not think after entering the King Martial Courtyard, you can be self-righteous. Not to mention you, even Chen Shang, I could slap you both to death. Lu Jia coldly said. He raised his palm high and fiercely smacked towards Zhu Rong's face. Just as Zhu Rong thought he was dead, Lu Jia's hand suddenly came to a halt. Chen Zhang's tall and strong figure appeared in front of him, blocking Lu Jia's wrist with just his finger, completely stopping Lu Jia's assault. Chapter 269, Amazing Progress. Chapter 269 Amazing Progress. Once Chen Shang arrived, Yun Xiaodao and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They did not expect Lu Jia to be so bold, even daring to move against them here, which was a clear violation of the sect rules. Lu Jia's complexion changed because of Chen Zhang's sudden appearance. Even he himself had not perceived Chen Shang, and moreover, Chen Shang had even blocked his attack. Truly a shameless fellow who only knows how to bully the weak. Chen Shang sneered while staring at Lu Jia. He was a head taller than Lu Jia, and even his stature was sturdier than Lu Jia. With regards to their physique, Lu Jia appeared to be a lot weaker than him. At this time, 3 true disciples from behind Lu Jia also arrived. One was in 6th level, one was in 7th level, and the last one was in 8th level. In the extreme martial sect, there were not many true martial realm disciples, so Chen Shang, with a single glance, recognized the 3. Lu Jia retracted his hand. In his heart, he was also surprised, because Chen Shang appeared to be somewhat stronger. And it had only been a short 5 days, that's all. Originally, he believed it would take Chen Shang at least 1 or 2 years before he could recover, yet in just 5 days, he was already all right. Chen Shang, don't you remember the lesson I taught you last time? Lu Jia's pair of angry eyes stared at Chen Shang. Of course I remembered, and it was because I remembered that I came to look for you. You almost killed me last time. Chen Shang clenched his fist as his bones burst into crackling sounds. His voice was full of anger. Lu Jia loudly laughed, are you looking to compete with me? However, you and I are not in the same level. I will not accept your challenge, lest others say I bully the weak. You don't deserve to fight with me, you are just a weak guy, a garbage whom had almost kneeled in front of me. Chen Shang let loose of his clenched fist and became very calm. But suddenly, the surroundings were enveloped with slaughter chi, however, it only appeared for a moment before it completely disappeared. This was Chen Zhang's appearance under extreme anger. A very furious person was rather terrifying when he was very calm. Anger would make one even more powerful, but it would also make them lose their wits. However, if someone remained calm in a state of fury, he could release the hidden strength in his body, and at the same time, he could calmly control that strength. If you wish to fight with Brother Lu, first you must receive my 2 moves, and also without weapon. A young man beside Lu Jia spoke at this time. His tone was very frivolous and arrogant, and he didn't even place Chen Shang in his eyes. He was a 6th-level true martial realm disciple named Ying Qilai, and he was a figure from the same generation as Hao Dongqing, Yao Haisheng and the others. So long as you defeat Brother Ying, I will reluctantly fight. He had not finished his sentence, before a golden light flashed out, it was Chen Zhang's fist. That fierce punch was like a beam, bursting forth with intense slaughter chi and destructive power while in motion. At the same time, it was accompanied by a deafening tiger roar that was filled with slaughter and violence, causing the surrounding people to quiver in fear. This was the White Tiger Divine Fist. Without using the Azure Dragon Slaughtering Devil Blade, Chen Shang was just as terrible, because the martial technique he was using was Divine Exercise. As Chen Shang struck his fist, no one had the chance to react. Ying Qilai's face, which was filled with disdain, had no room to change. Chen Zhang's golden tiger head fist directly landed on his nose as the quiet square could clearly hear the sound of nose breaking. It was followed by a burst of deafening roar, accompanied with blood-curdling screams. Ying Qilai flew out the square, slammed into a martial courtyard's wall far away, destroying the solid wall. His life's condition was unknown. Yun Xiaodao, Zhu Rong and Shu Weilong, the trio's faces were sweating profusely. Just a moment ago, that punch was truly too violent, and it was so fast that it did not give anyone any time to react. As its sudden and explosive force was released, it made sure that it was very difficult to resist. A fist took out a 6th-level true martial realm martial artist in just a second. This kind of strength was incomparably shocking for others. Ying Qilai believed that Chen Shang without the Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade, this divine weapon, would not have a lot of strength remaining. However, he was wrong as his handsome face was completely ruined by Chen Shang. Chen Zhang's fist had almost taken his life, and if Chen Shang had not shown mercy, he might have been crippled. Chen Shang only let him suffer a bit of internal injuries, as well as a broken nose, that's all. Now can I fight with you? Chen Shang rubbed his fist while indifferently watching Lu Jia. Lu Jia was also caught in surprise. If Chen Shang had punched him instead a moment ago, he also had no way to dodge. He was the closest to Chen Shang and Ying Qilai, and he could clearly observe the fist's speed as well its strength. At the very least, he himself couldn't even see how Chen Shang punched. He only saw a golden light rushing through, and then Ying Qilai immediately flew out. Within just 5 days, Chen Shang had become a lot stronger. Even Lu Jia couldn't help but become fearful. However, he did not find any enhancement in Chen Zhang's true qi. Just as before, from Chen Zhang's aura, he could see that he was still in the 5th level of the true martial realm. Fight here, Lu Jia asked. A few days ago, although he had almost made Chen Shang kneel down, he still failed to garner recognition of the others, and even though Chen Shang at that time was defeated, his reputation hadn't even increased, which made him even more jealous and angry. Yes, right here, life and death battle. Chen Shang spoke word by word. Good, before the dean and the others arrive, I'll be finished with you. While speaking, Lu Jia's eyebrows twitched as Chen Shang suddenly felt a power invading him, impacting towards his dantian. The power was comparatively strong at the beginning, but in the end, it became a lot weaker. Lu Jia didn't move, yet he had already launched the attack. Moreover, it was extremely quick. This was precisely the ghost martial technique. Last time, Chen Shang was at a disadvantage, and in order to not be disadvantaged anymore, he had endured excruciating pain for 3 days and 3 nights straight, and cultivated his body to the 5th level of the immortal and devil body. Yun Xiaodao and the others retreated back in succession. Everyone around them also hastily retreated back. These two were rather strong, and after the fight, the square would probably be brought to ruins. This time, Chen Shang could clearly feel an extremely fast fist pounding on his abdomen. However, he was already prepared, that was why he wasn't the least bit afraid. After his body lightly shook, the power disappeared. His physical strength had improved by several times, but the scene was rather worlds apart compared to before. This time, he had very easily fended off the ghost martial technique. Stronger than last time, but it still cannot do anything to me. Chen Shang spoke to himself in his heart as he looked at Lu Jia with a sneer. Lu Jia suddenly stared dumbfoundedly as he retreated a few steps in shock. His proud ghost martial technique had actually failed, and it was even unable to make Chen Shang fall down to the ground. When he had used it a few days ago, the strength he had used was a lot weaker, yet Chen Shang was already vomiting blood from serious injuries. But now, his attack didn't even affect Chen Shang in the slightest. He is just in the 5th level of the true martial realm, I do not have to be afraid. I'll try again, Lu Jia told himself in his heart, then once again quietly casted a move. However, it still did not show any effect, and this time, Chen Zhang's body did not even budge a bit. Chen Shang sneered, playtime's over, my turn. While speaking, he waved his hand as 5 fingers were stretched out. Just like an eagle claw, it burst into azure light, forming a huge dragon claw which struck towards Lu Jia. Chapter 270, Tyrannical. Chapter 270 Tyrannical. This one claw was quite fast, just like the white tiger divine fist he had used a moment ago. Moreover, it also carried tyrannical lightning power. Although Lu Jia was surprised, his battle experience was very rich. He leaned back a bit, dodging that frightening azure dragon claw. However, his chest was still scalded from the lightning chi gushing out of the tips of the dragon claws, leaving 3 charred bloodstains on his chest. Chen Shang didn't want to ruin this large square, that was why when he started his offense, he did not use a powerful martial skill, lest Jiyu Dongchen and the others blamed him. Lu Jia quickly retreated as a frown appeared on his face. His left leg slightly moved as an invisible yet powerful chi suddenly surged towards Chen Zhang's right calf. Chen Shang could feel a power akin to a leg sweep being released. It was like invisible legs sweeping over the ground, with an exceptionally strong momentum. Chen Shang mobilized his chi into a layer, which then suddenly appeared on both of his legs, slightly transfixing him onto the ground. When the leg sweep arrived, Chen Shang was not fazed even a bit, only the dust was swept. Although his leg was struck by that powerful leg sweep, he didn't feel any pain. Now that he had a 5th-level immortal and devil body, his whole body was like made up of copper skin and iron bones. For him, this kind of attack was rather weak, and he just felt ticklish. Lu Jia, your sneaky attacks are useless to me. Chen Shang sneered. Just as his feet slid like a cloud of smoke, he arrived in front of Lu Jia. At the same time, he fiercely brandished his fists as numerous golden fists surged forth, like a tide sweeping through, accompanied with a tiger roar filled with killing intent. His attacks shook everyone's soul as it reverberated in the sky. Chen Zhang's overwhelming white tiger divine fist enveloped Lu Jia as chi undulations flooded everywhere. The air released muffled sounds from shock. This kind of fist was filled with violent power, drowning everyone else in fear. Lu Jia was also not bad. A grey chi cover appeared on his body, enveloping him in it, resisting those tiger heads' golden fist. In a blink of an eye, Chen Shang had already released hundreds of fists, and each fist was like lightning, continuously bombarding on that grey chi cover. Each and every wave of attack sent Lu Jia's heart into trembling. He had never expected that the moderate true chi in Chen Zhang's body, after it has been casted through a martial skill, would actually become so overbearing and frightening, as if a tiger god of slaughter was bombarding with countless attacks. Humph! Chen Shang looked at Lu Jia's chi cover that was gradually getting weaker and weaker under his onslaught. His attacks were then followed by a palm, which suddenly made the square tremble as soon as it struck its target. The surroundings of Lu Jia were suddenly cracked open. Chen Shang had used the shocking heaven palm. Passing through the chi cover, it ruthlessly shook Lu Jia, and after his body was invaded by the shock, the blood and chi in his body turned chaotic. What Lu Jia did not expect was that, after Chen Shang shot a palm, he continued with another, then another, and continued without stopping. Moreover, in a very quick speed, Chen Shang once again used the tiger head golden fist from a moment ago. From the continuous shocks, the bricks in the square were beginning to let loose, while the bricks in the surroundings of Lu Jia turned into powder, because of Chen Zhang's continuous attacks. Your sneaky move can't be used anymore. Now do you have anything else? Where did your 3-pulse strength go? You have 3 kinds of true chi, but as mediocre as you are, they are simply wasted. Chen Shang coldly said. Both of his palms struck without a trace of slowing down, constantly smacking on that true chi cover of Lu Jia, which was gradually becoming weaker and weaker. Chen Shang was currently using the universe true chi from the fusion of his 5 elements true chi. It was the strongest state of his true chi, comparable to the 7th level of the true martial realm. After it was released through the shocking heaven palm, it became even stronger and terrifying. All onlookers were stunned. Although some of them had already witnessed Chen Zhang's fights, every time they see him again would still cause them to become shocked. They couldn't understand how Chen Shang could continuously release such earth-shaking palms. Was Chen Zhang's true chi inexhaustible? Even some 7th-level true martial realm martial artists witnessing this could not help but be ashamed. This kind of rich true chi was truly terrifying. If it was someone else, it would be very difficult to cast 100 palms, but Chen Shang had already casted more than 100 palms, and yet his breath was still extremely steady, not even showing any sign of exhaustion. The true chi within Chen Zhang's body hummed as it surged out from his dantian in a steady stream, and finally released out through his palm. Lu Jia was already in a sorry state, and his mouth was now full of blood, which was constantly being spewed out. At the moment, his whole body had already turned numb from shock. Although he had 3 kinds of true chi, he could not cultivate them so uniformly and fuse them like Chen Shang. He could only use 1 true chi at a time. Moreover, even in the field of martial skills, he could not compare with Chen Shang in the slightest. Not to mention that his true chi exercise was also not as good as Chen Zhang's. Originally, he believed that after learned the ghost martial technique, he could ignore everything. Many stronger than him had been defeated by the aforementioned move. As long as his adversaries were struck by his move, they would suffer serious injuries, which would render them unable to defend, causing them to eventually get killed by him. But now towards Chen Shang, his proud move was rendered useless. The 5th level immortal and devil body, in addition to the rich universe true chi, made Chen Shang feel as if he had never been so powerful. His blood was seething as he roared again and again, and along with his shout, he was releasing the excitement trapped inside his body. The bricks in the square started moving up and down from the shockwaves of the shocking heaven palm. As for the chi cover Lu Jia had released, it had already long disappeared, and Lu Jia spat out blood just as he attempted to speak. While Chen Zhang's palm had transformed into a fist, he was casting the violent white tiger divine fist, which befell on Lu Jia like rain. Within a few blinks of an eye, Lu Jia, from head to toe, had been rammed by those imposing golden fists full of slaughtering momentum. Chen Shang fists were also carrying suction force, rendering Lu Jia incapable to fly out from his strikes. In this way, he had brutally and insanely wreaked havoc with his white tiger divine fist. Should we stop him? On a tower above, Wu Kaming asked. Ji Yu Dongchen shook his head and said, no need, let him vent it. In these 5 days, he had grown so much simply to defeat Lu Jia. Wu Kaming nodded his head. Everyone challenged by Lu Jia were mystically defeated. They did not see or perceive Lu Jia's move, yet they were struck at their vital point. This Lu Jia had disappeared for 30 years, and when I went to ask him, he only described it vaguely. From one glance, it was clear he was hiding something. Wu Kaming said. He is using the ghost martial technique. Young martial uncle's body is several times stronger than in the past, that's why he could withstand the attack of the ghost martial technique. Ji Yu Dongchen, with a solemn appearance, glanced at the faraway Lu Jia. Wu Kaming was surprised for a moment, before he exclaimed, Dean really has good eyes and experience. Even I did not expect it to be the ghost martial technique. This is a forbidden martial skill, and anyone cultivating this kind of martial skill will eventually lose their humanity and turn into a devil. Ji Yu Dongchen heaved a long sigh and said, Lu Jia certainly went to the Devil Yang clan. Only the Devil Yang clan have this kind of stuff. However, the martial artist had to sacrifice a lot to cultivate the ghost martial technique, which is also the reason the martial artist will lose his humanity. Because of this, Ji Yu Dongchen did not stop Chen Shang. Lu Jia was someone who had returned from the Devil Path sect, and his purpose for coming to the extreme martial sect could only be imagined. Regarding such people, Ji Yu Dongchen would not be soft. At the moment, he was still brooding about the Southern Wasteland. For many years, he had not suffered such shame. He had actually been hoodwinked by the Devil Path sect, and he had almost sent his own sect's disciples to their death. Thinking of this point, Ji Yu Dongchen suddenly clutched his fist. Junior brother, let's wait for junior sister to come back, then we will begin our attack on the Devil Path sects. Before the great storm arrives, we will surely eradicate a Devil Path sect. Chapter 271, Taoyuan Grand Meeting. Chapter 271 Taoyuan Grand Meeting. Lu Jia's swollen body was lying on the ground, but he was not yet dead. He was glaring at Chen Shang, and the look in his eyes was saying he could not wait to kill Chen Shang. However, he currently didn't have any strength to do so. Chen Shang fiercely stamped on his knee and directly broke it, making Lu Jia release yet another desolate blood-curdling scream. Don't you like to force others to kneel? I'll make you kneel yet unable to kneel. While speaking, Chen Shang once again broke off his other knee. The onlookers felt their scalp tingle while witnessing such brutal means. Those true disciples accompanying Lu Jia before could not help but retreat far away. Not long ago, Ying Qilai flew away just from a fist of Chen Shang, and now, they did not want to be the victim of that absurd punch of Chen Shang. Chen Shang, you mongrel, you'll definitely not have a good death, don't think you can kill me. Let me tell you, the elders and the dean are optimistic about me. I have 3 pulse constitution, my talent. Before he could finish, Chen Shang began laughing as he took out the Azure Dragon slaughtering devil blade. He placed it above Lu Jia's neck then chopped down. Everyone was shaken as they started to have goosebumps. Lu Jia was indeed someone with pretty good talent. They knew that if this kind of disciple was killed, the dean would definitely get mad. But so what? Chen Shang could overwhelmingly kill him, and it was quite clear that Chen Shang was more talented than him. Would the extreme martial sect cripple Chen Shang? Impossible, not to mention both of them were having a life and death battle. No one could object Chen Zhang's actions. Yun Xiaodao and the others felt like they had lived like a dog all these years. Originally, they had the same strength as Chen Shang, but now, the difference between them and Chen Shang was like heaven and earth. Thinking of this, they could not help but hasten their return to the King Martial Courtyard and start working hard in cultivation. Chen Shang incinerated Lu Jia's body on the spot. He had already sensed Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming watching from distance, but since they did not come to stop, it was clear that they acquiesced with his approach. After entering the extreme martial mysterious realm, Chen Zhang was pulled by Wu Keiming into his residence, where Ji Dongchen too was present. Young martial uncle, your body is actually so strong. Just with your flesh, you should be able to ram a 4th level true martial realm martial artist to the ground. Ji Dongchen exclaimed. That is already a given. Your uncle had suffered too much for this, and to tell you the truth, your uncle's body is currently in the 5th level of the immortal and devil body. Chen Shang sat on the chair and very proudly spoke. In front of his martial nephews, of course he must be awe-inspiring, lest they look down upon him. Hearing Chen Zhang's words, Ji Dongchen almost dropped the teacup in his hand. He looked at Chen Shang with eyes filled with wonder, and the same was true for Wu Keiming. His 2 pair of old eyes were wide open as they stared at Chen Shang. Ji Dongchen could only sigh, even his master did not have such a monstrous talent as Chen Zhang's. Right, where did that little girl disappear to? I miss her very much. Chen Shang asked. Elder Dan had not appeared, and this made him very much think of her. Junior sister, she often go into closed-door training. Her whereabouts are generally erratic, almost everyone know about this. Ji Dongchen replied. Wu Keiming said, young martial uncle, did you not find something different? Chen Shang thought before he shook his head and said, what is it? I did not find anything. There are not many inner sect disciples, especially true disciples, because they all went to Danxiang Taoyuan. Ji Dongchen slightly smiled and said. Chen Shang frowned, why did they go to the Danxiang Taoyuan? The Fragrance City will begin its preparation for the once 100 years Grand Dan meeting. There are still 3 months' time left, but it was already very lively there. Once it starts, I and the Dean will also go, as well as the other sects, Dean. Wu Keiming said. Chen Shang had indeed heard of the grand meeting, and the finale of this grand meeting was an alchemy tournament, which would pretty much bring together many of the alchemists of the Chenwu mainland. This alchemy tournament was completely different from all other tournaments Chen Shang had seen or participated before. This alchemy tournament was rather large, and there was no shortage of famous alchemists among the participators. You are an alchemist, you should go and have a look, how about coming along with us? Ji Dongchen asked. Of course I'll go now. Chen Shang said. Now there would be a large number of people there, and at any moment, a large auction would also be held. It was the best time to gather some precious herbs. You alone will be too dangerous. Now, not only the righteous sects are staring at you, even those 5 major devil path sects very much want you dead. Ji Dongchen said with some concern. I'm not afraid, Chen Shang carelessly said. If he went alone, he would arrive there quickly. On the other hand, Ji Dongchen, while facing Wu Keiming, smiled and said, someone's here. Chen Shang frowned, only to hear Long Shui's giggles as she spoke. It's your sister Menger, she is outside the extreme martial mysterious realm. Wu Keiming hastily went out to greet. Lu Menger came here, and Chen Shang had the brass to stay here. He wished to know why Lu Menger came. Lu Menger was garbed in a white longuette, and her long hair was draped over her shoulder. Her white face was filled with coldness and grandeur, with an otherworldly temperament, carrying a kind of mesmerizing royal and proud bearing. Seeing the elegance of this peerless woman, Chen Shang was secretly astonished. He rarely saw Lu Menger with this kind of appearance. Lu Menger, after seeing Chen Shang here, could not help but be surprised in her heart, especially when she saw Chen Shang was tilting his leg and was rudely sitting, while Ji Dongchen and Wu Keiming weren't even speaking anything. This made her feel extremely suspicious, because she could see that Chen Zhang's relations with these 2 tycoons was not ordinary. She herself was just the same. Wu Keiming gave a glare to Chen Shang, and Chen Shang could only respond as he hastily stood up and respectfully gave a salute to Lu Menger. This made Lu Menger to start laughing in her heart. At the same time, she was also somewhat pleased, because when she was together with Chen Shang was not as courteous. Chen Shang was also depressed. He had very good relation with all 3 tycoons in here, and yet he had to pretend. Empress Lu, are you looking for junior sister? Ji Dongchen smilingly asked. It seemed his and Lu Menger's relation was not bad, otherwise, he would not use such a form of address. Elder Dan is not here? Lu Menger asked. She had already disappeared. Wu Keiming sighed. Lu Menger was a bit disappointed. I came to look for her in order to go to Danxiang Taoyuan together, and make her help me take some spirit herbs. It's really a pity. Chen Zhang's eyes lit up as he hurriedly said, Senior Lu, this brat is also going to Danxiang Taoyuan. Dean and the others do not trust me in going alone, I don't know whether I could accompany you. Regarding spirit herbs, I also have some understanding. Thinking of traveling together with Chen Shang, this little rascal, Lu Menjie was conflicted in her heart. She very much wished to be together with Chen Shang, but then again, she was afraid of being taken advantage by him, especially when there were no one else present. Miss Lu, this brat had caused too much trouble. He is anxious to go to Danxiang Taoyuan. If he's going alone, we cannot be at ease, even though the road is not very long. Wu Keiming said. Lu Menjie cursed Chen Shang in her heart. Last time, when Chen Shang went to her divine weapon Heavenly Empire, he was pretty much safe during the entire trip. The fragrance city of the Danxiang Taoyuan was indeed somewhat far, and on the road, the possibility of getting ambushed was rather high, causing her to also worry about Chen Shang. She nodded in acceptance, which made Chen Shang rejoice in his heart. Chapter 272, Fire Spirit's Reappearance. Chapter 272 Fire Spirit's Reappearance. Witnessing Chen Shang's happy appearance, Lu Menjie scoffed in her heart. Let's go now, Chen Shang said. This kind of stiff feeling made him very uncomfortable. Elder sister Lu, I'm requesting you to take care of this brat. Ji Yu Dongchen smiled and said as he touched Chen Zhang's head and said. Chen Shang didn't expect Lu Menjie to actually be older than Ji Yu Dongchen. Lu Menjie faintly smiled, and replied, both of you rest assured. Chen Shang followed Lu Menjie out of the extreme martial sect. He rode on a lotus-shaped flying disc produced by her. This flying disc was very large. After the extreme martial sect became a mere speck in the distance in Chen Zhang's view, he laid down and let out a satisfied moan, really comfortable. Little rascal, your relationship is quite good with Ji Yu Dongchen and the others. Lu Menjie tenderly spat before speaking. She then vigorously gave a pinch on Chen Zhang's arm. He actually so casually lied down on her flying disc. That is of course, isn't our relationship also quite good? Chen Shang laid on the lotus disc and looked up at the blue sky. Sister Menjie, thanks a lot for helping me temper my body. I easily killed that guy. Seeing Chen Shang sucking in her body fragrance, Lu Menjie slightly blushed. Little rascal, is that guy you killed very strong? Tell me. Chen Shang told the conflict with Lu Jia to Lu Menjie, which made her very astonished. This guy was definitely using the ghost martial technique. According to what my parents told me, a martial artist cultivating in the ghost martial technique will eventually turn into a mindless person. Only Devil Yang clan has this technique. Even in the Devil Yang clan, its cultivation was banned. It is a forbidden martial skill. Lu Menjie's pretty complexion took a drastic change. When Lu Menjie listened to Chen Shang describing the various things that occurred with the Lu family, she said with certainty, the Lu family was definitely colluding with the Devil Yang clan. I didn't expect such a dangerous person was even hiding in your extreme martial sect. But he was finished off by me, Chen Shang said with a wide grin. Lu Menjie had always believed Chen Shang was rather resourceful or fortunate, but regarding him being able to kill a 9th-level true martial realm elder, she was now somewhat suspicious. Was he truly killed using your own strength? From what I remember, when the rumors about this was spreading, you were not even in the 5th level of the true martial realm. Lu Menjie said. Believe what you want to believe. Chen Shang also didn't explain this matter, because at that time, he had relied on Long Shui's strength. He mischievously laughed and said, Sister Menjie, you should also lie down, there's still a lot of space. Lu Menjie pursed her lips and said in a tender tone, do not think I cannot throw you down. Chen Shang took out a jade pillow, patted it under his head, and with a rather enjoying look, laid down on the disc. Seeing Lu Menjie was once again about to twist his arm, he immediately asked a question. Sister Menjie, how are the studies going on the spirit patterns I gave you? When are you going to teach me how to refine equipments? To tell you honestly, I don't have a clue. These spirit patterns are not the ones I am familiar with, moreover, there are so many. If only I knew the characteristic of each spirit pattern, I would be able to analyze the combinations, so that I could fuse various characteristic of different spirit patterns and release power of spirit patterns. This is a very vast project. Lu Menjie replied. This lotus flying disc was made out of white jade. Even though its speed was relatively not fast, it could still fly at a very high altitude. Sister Menjie, can you help forge one of these flying things? Chen Shang asked. If he had one of these things, he could have a leisurely napping spot in the future when he had to go far away. This is a brilliant level equipment, it is not so easy to refine. Not to mention, the materials required are very rare. Wait till I gather the appropriate materials, then I'll take some time to help you refine one. However, both Yulin and Shenxian are ahead of you in priority. Shenxian often pesters me for one, I cannot be biased either, so I have to give Yulin one too. Lu Menjie caressed her hair and faintly said. Seeing this charming beautiful posture, the observing Chen Shang was dazed. Brilliant equipment, very expensive, sigh. Looks like the dean has also been ripped off by you. Chen Shang said. There were not many brilliant equipments, refining them was difficult and the materials were rare, very few could afford to refine them. Sister Menjie, will you take crystal stones from me too? Chen Shang asked with a smile. We'll talk about it then, anyway, I have not yet started refining. Lu Menjie stood up and looked far away. Hey, Lu Menjie shouted in surprise while staring at the distance. Chen Shang also stood up. After seeing the desert in front of them, he also felt a little strange. They were on their way to the Fragrance City, and traveled quite a ways to their destination. Chen Shang had also gone through this very same road, yet he did not remember any desert along the way. The desert in the front of them was enveloped in scorching atmosphere. Looking from afar, the desert air seemed to be slightly distorted. At this time Chen Shang and Lu Menjie both felt the presence of some people. I've traveled the road countless times, and this desert had definitely never been here before, yet now it has suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Lu Menjie said in a low tone. Chen Shang also felt it was incomparably odd. How about we go and have a look? With Sister Menjie's strength, I think there should be nothing to fear. Lu Menjie nodded her head as the lotus disc became a lot faster. Chen Shang once again laid down while Lu Menjie stood at the edge, looking at that vast desert with a solemn countenance. Seeing Lu Menjie's beautiful and elegant figure, Chen Shang really wanted to hold her from behind, and then kiss her cheek. Floating in his imagination, Chen Zhang's body could not help but release a slight heat. Lu Menjie's five senses were superb. Just a second later, she sensed the slight heat emanating from the abdomen of that little rascal behind her. As Lu Menjie turned around, she saw Chen Shang staring at her with an evil look in his eyes. She was extremely ashamed and furious. She gave white eyes to Chen Shang along with a tender snort. Little rascal, what are you thinking? Chen Shang didn't expect Lu Menjie's senses to be this strong. She could actually know what he was thinking. He forcefully smiled and said, nothing, just recalling some memories of a happy past. The flying disc had already entered the sky above the desert. The originally lying Chen Shang fiercely jumped up, a strange look brimmed up his face. Just a moment ago, a power within his body slightly trembled for a bit. It was the quivering of the heavenly sun fire spirit, and now he was also having a rather strong and strange feeling. It was not something he could explain. There's signs of a fire spirit is about to be born. Long Shui shouted in shock. Chen Shang was fiercely surprised for a moment. The strange feeling from within his body seemed to be guiding him to find the fire spirit. He didn't expect the heavenly sun fire spirit to actually have such a use. It could apparently sense the location of the fire spirit. Lu Menjie found Chen Shang acting a bit strange. She hastily asked, little rascal, are you all right? Chen Shang pointed at a direction, shouted, Sister Menjie, fly to that side. We will find a good thing there. What good thing? That's the north side, it is very cold there. Although Lu Menjie said so, she still controlled the lotus disc into flying towards the direction Chen Shang had pointed. Chen Shang shook his head, I'm still not sure whether it's what I think the thing is or not. Chapter 273, Agonizing. Chapter 273 Agonizing. The existence of fire spirit was very rare. In the entire Qinwu mainland, only Chen Shang and Wu Qianchen had the fire spirit. As for Elder Dan, even though she had it, as it came from the Purple Moon world, it was not naturally born and bred in the Qinwu mainland. And even Chen Zhang's heavenly sun fire spirit was not bred in the Qinwu mainland, because it was given to him by the ancient fire beast. In other words, only Wu Qianchen's blue star fire spirit was native to the Qinwu mainland. And according to both Long Shui and Su Meiyao, on a mainland, although the fire spirits were rare, it didn't mean they were not there. Generally, it would all be hidden, and although some people had them, they would never use them in their lifetime. In addition, there were also some fire spirits which would keep on burning to their death. Chen Shang was secretly excited in his heart, because he would soon find a naturally born fire spirit. Lu Menjie, this kind of powerful figure, also didn't have the fire spirit. It clearly showed how rare the fire spirits were. What fire spirit is it? It can even turn this piece of land into a desert. Chen Shang asked Long Shui. No idea. In short, it is marvelous, at least it is no less than the blue fire spirit. Long Shui said, in her heart, she too was looking forward to it. An entire day passed, and the flying disc has been flying over the scorching desert all this time. The deeper they flew towards the direction where Chen Zhang's pointed direction, the more Lu Menjie felt hot. We are getting farther and farther away from the fragrance city, what the hell is that thing? Lu Menjie asked with a pout. She had asked several times, yet Chen Shang had not answered. Hold on, I'll surely tell you later, overall, it is a good thing. Chen Shang laughed and said. At this time, a rather strange scene appeared. The scorching desert with steam rising was actually linked together with an ice-cold ground completely covered in snow. Lu Menjie had long found something was rather wrong here, especially after she saw this scene. Something was strange, that was why she believed what Chen Shang had said. There must be something affecting the environment, only then would this place turn like this. The scorching desert and the ice-cold ground completely covered in snow were only separated by a thin line. Lu Menjie landed on the middle of that connection and asked, this is strange, what kind of thing could actually cause this type of phenomena? Chen Shang stood on the line connecting the scorching desert and land of ice, then with Lu Menjie, he walked along the line. He walked in accordance with the feeling he was getting from within his body, he trusted the heavenly sun fire spirit's feeling. We will soon arrive, Chen Shang said in excitement. Lu Menjie didn't know what it was, only, in her heart, she was very doubtful. At the same time, she was secretly in anticipation. Chen Shang suddenly stopped and excitedly said, just below here. Sister Menjie, quickly dig the thing out from here. Lu Menjie said in a tender voice, why should I dig? Why don't you do it yourself? Her voice was filled with resentment, it was not the first time Chen Shang made her do these kinds of things. She was a dignified empress of the divine weapon heavenly empire, yet she was being ordered. Little rascal, don't you have compassion for women? Lu Menjie tenderly snorted and said. While speaking, an incomparably formidable power burst out from her body, making Chen Shang feel as if something was pressing down upon him. He could not help but retreat. At this time, Chen Shang remembered that this pretty woman was a Nirvana realm martial artist. However, he was rather proud, because he often verbally molested her, and he was also very close with her. A deep crack appeared on the ground, which was opened up by Lu Menjie's power. Just as Chen Shang took a step, he felt a powerful cold and hot stream surging out from deep within the crack. In the blink of an eye, Chen Shang felt extremely cold to the point of shivering, but in another blink of an eye, he felt heat as if he was being burned by fire. This feeling of alternating hot and cold had suddenly made him softly lay paralyzed on the ground. He didn't expect that the fire spirit would actually have freezing cold power. Lu Menjie was even more surprised than Chen Shang. She was originally a martial artist cultivating fire and ice true qi, and she had a very high resistance against fire and ice. However, she also could not bear the alternating heat and cold, causing her to trust Chen Zhang's words even more. A very powerful thing was indeed hiding underground. That thing is coming up, Sister Menjie, be careful. Chen Shang suddenly burst into a shout. He wanted to block the pouncing and frightening fire spirit, but he was paralyzed by the alternating cold and hot stream. Lu Menjie was surprised as she quickly retreated, only to see a purple thing shoot out of the crack, with even more intense cold air and scorching heat, making Chen Shang even more uncomfortable. Lu Menjie finally knew what it was. She was a fire user, and regarding flames, she had a very deep understanding. With one glance, she recognized it was the greed for all the fire users, the fire spirit. However, it was also with freezing cold characteristic, and based on her knowledge, this type of fire spirit should not exist. Purple fire spirit, Sister Menjie, quickly receive it, don't let this thing run away. Chen Shang quickly shouted. Lu Menjie glanced at Chen Shang in surprise. She didn't know why Chen Shang knew there was a fire spirit here, moreover, the purple fire spirit was formidable. In her opinion, such a youngling should not have such a deep understanding about fire spirits. Not to mention fire spirits, even people who knew about martial soul were not many. Although the martial soul was similarly rare, they were still more of them compared to the fire spirits. Chen Shang looked at the bunch of purple flames floating in the air. Even though he didn't know what fire spirit it was, he knew that this kind of fire spirit was a strange type, and it was different compared to the fire spirits he had seen. When Chen Shang wanted to urge Lu Menjie to receive the fire spirit, the purple fire spirit actually consciously flew towards Lu Menjie and merged into Lu Menjie's body. The moment the fire spirit merged into Lu Menger's beautiful face suddenly distorted from pain as she let out crisp and sharp screams. Chen Shang had suffered this kind of pain, and it was also the same for Wu Qianqun. Seeing the painful appearance of Lu Menger, Chen Shang was heartbroken. Lu Menger let out mournful and tender screams in pain while rolling on the ground. Chen Shang didn't expect that when fused with the fire spirit, even Nirvana realm martial artists could experience such excruciating pain. This is necessary, because after the fusion with the fire spirit, her flames in her body will undergo advancement. Moreover, her flames and body are already both very strong, that's why she must suffer pain even more severe than what you and Wu Qianqun had experienced. Su Meiyao said. Lu Menger felt like she was dying. At this time, she suddenly grabbed Chen Shang rather powerfully with her tender hands. Little rascal, it's very painful. Lu Menger screamed. Seeing this, Chen Shang felt his heart bleed. He hugged Lu Menger and let her lean on his arms, just like when he hugged Wu Qianqun the last time. Although Lu Menger was in agony, she knew she was being hugged by Chen Shang, which made her extremely disgraced and furious. However, she simply could not reprimand Chen Shang, since the pain intensified. Lu Menger was now sitting on Chen Zhang's lap, and her slender thighs were closely sandwiching Chen Zhang's thick waist. Her beautiful hands were also closely clutching Chen Zhang's generous waist, and her nails had already entered Chen Zhang's clothes and dug into Chen Zhang's flesh. At the moment, rounds after rounds of bloody scratches appeared on Chen Zhang's back. Chapter 274, Kissing. Chapter 274 Kissing. TLN. In the 17K site this chapter is censored, the title at 17K is also different, it is Fusion of Fire Spirit, so if someone find it rather different from 17K chapter, please don't blame me. Is this every woman's talent? Chen Shang secretly endured. Lu Menger's body was much more powerful than Chen Zhang's, despite the fact he had the 5th level Immortal and Devil body, her clawing still left bloody marks. Both of Chen Zhang's hands were wrapped around Lu Menger's soft and slender waist. He held her tight in his bosom, a close-knit hug while Lu Menger's body alternated between two extremes of hot and cold. Feeling those two round voluptuous soft lumps transmitting hot and cold sensations, waves surged in Chen Zhang's heart. However, Lu Menger had also rendered numerous bloody scratches on Chen Zhang's back. Thus, he was currently both happy and in pain. Lu Menger's face was buried in his chest. After nibbling her lips for a long time, she suddenly felt a lot better. She was barely conscious of the fact that her nails were lacerating Chen Zhang's back, but she could not control herself, she was simply in too much pain. Little rascal, I'm going to die. Ah, it's so painful, whimpered Lu Menger. She raised her head and looked at Chen Shang, her beautiful face had been distorted with pain. Her pretty eyes revealed a complex look that only gave a hint of the unbearable pain she was going through. Upon seeing this, Chen Shang felt a dull throbbing pain in his heart for some unknown reason. Looking at those beautiful eyes, he could not help but lower his head. He slowly brought his lips closer, before eventually sealing those bleeding lips belonging to Lu Menger. Lu Menger was in pain and felt disgraced, even when she bit her lips down even more tightly, Chen Zhang's soft and fiery tongue managed to pry them open. Chen Shang was taking a huge risk right now. With the unimaginable pain Lu Menger was going through, it wouldn't be a strange event if she suddenly clenched her jade teeth and bit his tongue right off. With some effort, Chen Zhang's tongue finally made its way safely into Lu Menger's mouth. Soon, he managed to locate that hiding fragrant tongue, stroking it around. He was quite familiar with this, as Shui Shenxian and Chen Shang had often kissed, so he was well versed in this sort of thing. The last time he managed to compel Su Meiyao into unable to stop herself. This kind of strange feeling was like an electric current. It suddenly surged through Lu Menger's whole body from the inside of her mouth. Because she knew that Chen Zhang's tongue was moving around in her mouth, she did not dare to vigorously bite down, no matter how painful it was for her. At the same time, she managed to curse Chen Shang through her pain for taking advantage of her crisis and doing this sort of thing to her. She was Shui Shenxian's master, and Shui Shenxian was Chen Zhang's wife. Actually, when Chen Shang thought of this relationship between them, he became even more excited, stirring up that unyielding fragrant tongue. Lu Menger did not last long in her futile resistance. Every single time her tongue got caught by his, her body would feel inexplicably comfortable, which eased much of pain. She jerkily met with Chen Zhang's, as her soft delicate tongue wrapped around his. Chen Shang secretly felt very happy in his heart. The last time he and Su Meiyao kissed was also similar to this. Although both women had lived for a very long time, neither of them were proficient or well-versed in things regarding men and women. In fact, they had never even kissed someone before. Now, when they tasted its sweetness, Lu Menjie was infatuated with the soft comforting sensation spreading through her, as was Su Meiyao. They both took the initiative and passionately returned the action, kissing Chen Xiang of their own accord. Unconsciously, the throbbing pain in Lu Menjie's body gradually weakened. Meanwhile, Chen Xiang also had a bizarre feeling. At this time, Long Shui exclaimed, "Your heavenly sun fire spirit is releasing a peculiar aura. It's actually flowing through your mouth into Lu Menjie's body and suppressing that strange fire spirit." Lu Menjie's pain had completely disappeared now. She felt as if she had just emerged out of hell and entered a paradise. She could clearly feel a bizarre stream of energy surging into her body through Chen Zhang's tongue. After entering her body, this energy seemed to accelerate the fusion between her body and that strange fire spirit. This was a very mystical sensation. Sometimes a bad accident would bring about something beautiful. This was definitely the case for Chen Xiang. What was currently happened was something he had only dreamed of coming true. In the ring, Su Meiyao was tenderly snorting. "This little rascal, humph, he is really bad, he's even bullying his wife's master." When she thought to the past of personally kissing Chen Xiang last time, her beautiful suddenly flushed a bright red. She was overwhelmed with a feeling of longing, however, she would never voice that out loud. The sun fell as night came. Lu Menjie suddenly slumped down and instantly fell asleep. When both of their lips had parted, Chen Xiang was completely satisfied. At the same time, he recalled that sensation with a feeling of nostalgia. He looked at the defenseless beauty lying in his arms and felt proud in his heart. He stroked her soft hair and wiped off the streaks of tears left on her face. That sort of indescribable pain rendered Lu Menjie physically and mentally exhausted. Even though Chen Xiang did help her in relieving some physical pain, he added some to her mental exhaustion, yet all in all she was completely exhausted from all the ordeal of today. Chen Xiang still felt a stinging sensation on his back, and knew the scene was appalling, but he felt it was still definitely worth it. Chen Xiang remained motionless. He feared that the slightest movement would wake Lu Menjie and shatter this beautiful and fragile moment. He didn't even dare to breathe heavily and only stared at Lu Menjie's sleeping face with love. She was so stunningly beautiful. "You little rascal, hey, you're definitely a bad boy, but this girl liked it." Long Shui mischievously laughed. She also wanted to come out and stroke that beautiful face. It seems that when she was fusing with the fire spirit, she underwent far more excruciating pain than Wu Qianchen. Chen Xiang said with a heavy sigh. "Of course that's the case, she is in the Nirvana realm after all. The fact that she's not dead is pretty good. Don't forget that fire spirits are all very strange. A purple fire spirit is very good, but it was also with freezing cold purple fire spirit. That being said, it is also the most suitable one for her. It is a very unique fire spirit. If used correctly, it's not necessarily worse than your heavenly sun fire spirit." Su Meiyao said with envy. Chen Xiang just laughed it off and said, "Sister Meiyao, just wait until I'm strong enough, I'll definitely help you find a powerful fire spirit." Bai Yu said with a neither cold nor warm tone, "Junior sister, this brat is definitely planning to take advantage of women when they fuse with fire spirits. Sister Meiyao, when you fuse with the fire spirit, this brat can be perfectly justified in his actions to help ease your pain. He will definitely take advantage of you quite cheaply." Long Shui said with a wide grin. Chen Xiang muttered, "Bunch of bad women, gauging the heart of a gentle man with their own mean measures. I am truly thinking for Sister Meiyao's sake." He said this, only to hear Long Shui along with the two sisters suddenly tenderly snort in unison. None of these three women believed what Chen Xiang just said. Chen Xiang was worried that after Lu Menjie woke up, she would be estranged from him. At that time, it would be very difficult for him to meet her ever again. He very much missed the sensation of kissing Lu Menjie. Chen Xiang sighed lightly. When he thought about how he was able to kiss one of the strongest female martial artists in the world, he was both satisfied and worried. At dawn, Lu Menjie gradually opened her eyes as she woke up. When Chen Xiang and Wu Qianchen fused with their fire spirits, they slept for a long time. Yet, Lu Menjie only slept for one night before waking up. Lu Menjie's eyes were half opened. Her face was still buried in Chen Zhang's chest. She could hear the pounding of Chen Zhang's heart which mirrored her own. She was still powerless at the moment, the fusion with the fire spirit had yet to finish. "Hey, little rascal, wake up. My body is hurting again." Lu Menjie powerlessly trailed off. Chen Xiang instantly opened his eyes. He was fiercely elated in his heart. Lu Menjie managed to tilt her head upwards and stare into Chen Zhang's eyes, her own filled with a complex attractive splendor. In response, Chen Shang stroked her pale face before lowering his head. He once again began passionately kissing Lu Menjie. This time around, his tongue met no resistance and easily entered Lu Menjie's mouth. The two intertwined in a warm and tender embrace. The fire chi from the heavenly sun fire spirit instilled into Lu Menjie's body while the two individuals became immersed. This warm sensation filled with happiness. Chapter 275, Divine Weapons Trail. Chapter 275 Divine Weapons Trail. Another day passed. Early morning, sunlight shone upon an embracing couple of a strapping young man and a beauty. The scene seemed to be very warm. Chen Shang opened his eyes. He had released a rather large amount of heavenly sun fire spirit's fire chi, making him very tired, and it was only because Long Shui was keeping a close watch on the surroundings was he able to embrace a beauty and rest. Lu Menjie's beautiful and stunning face returned to its past splendor, and at this time, she appeared even more beautiful and moving, as if a flower has bloomed, filled with a kind of glamorous charm. She has fused successfully, Long Shui said. Chen Shang nodded his head, but he did not release Lu Menjie from his embrace. He was worried that in the future, he would not be able to hold Lu Menjie again, despite knowing he would definitely be cursed by Lu Menjie. Lu Menjie, feeling the dazzling sunlight shining upon her, slightly lifted her eyelid, raised her head and looked at Chen Shang. Her blurred pretty eyes were filled with a complex look. She too didn't know how she should face this kind of thing. At this moment, she had already recovered her strength, but she did not leave Chen Zhang's arms. Sister Menjie, congratulations, you have fused with the fire spirit. Chen Shang sincerely congratulated, then lightly stroked her hair. Thank you, Lu Menjie said in a tender tone. At this time, she suddenly felt that there was something strange inside her nails, causing her to think of how she mindlessly scratched Chen Zhang's back when she was enduring the pain. Just when Lu Menjie wanted to clean up Chen Zhang's wound, Chen Shang closely hugged her and said, "It's nothing serious. I will not let you go, lest I'm unable to hold you in the future." Lu Menjie lightly spat, "Little fool, quickly release me. If I'm like this with you, what do you want me to do?" Chen Shang released Lu Menjie and obediently laid down on the ground. Lu Menjie, seeing the numerous staggered bloody scratches on Chen Zhang's back, felt a heartache. She once again looked at both of her hands, which were filled with blood and some skin she had scratched out. After Lu Menjie woke up, the atmosphere was not as embarrassing as Chen Shang had imagined. On the contrary, it was filled with a light warmth, making Chen Shang feel secretly happy. "Sister Menjie, your flames are now very formidable, right?" Chen Shang asked. "I think my fire spirit is much special than I imagined. You little rascal also have fire spirit, right, and it seems it is also as formidable as mine." Lu Menjie, with some herbal water, carefully wiped those deep scratches on Chen Zhang's back. Unconsciously, her eyes became somewhat moist. Although she knew these small injuries were rather nothing to Chen Shang, she still felt an inexplicable pain in her heart. Regarding our fire spirits, it can't be spoken to anyone. Because there is a powerful organization that specially crossed worlds to catch fire spirit users. Not to mention this organization can even seize the fire spirit within one's body. Sister Menjie, you definitely have to keep it a secret. Chen Shang seriously exhorted. I know about this organization, it is called Fire God Temple. My parents once told me about them, and told me that if I ever go to the heavenly realm, I must avoid the Fire God Temple, no matter how rich the condition they give. I cannot join them. Lu Menjie's complexion also turned dignified. After some kind of powder was applied on Chen Zhang's back, he felt cool, and very soon, the flesh on his back began to regrow, filling up those deep scratches. It was the white jade Dan, and regarding ordinary external injuries, was very useful. Chen Zhang's clothes have already been clawed through, so he just took off his clothes. Lu Menjie didn't felt shy, as if she had been accustomed to this. Her eyes were peering at the white dragon tattoo on Chen Zhang's left arm as she asked, "What is this?" "Tattoo," Chen Shang casually said. Lu Menjie also didn't hold any doubt, as she didn't feel anything wrong with the white dragon. Lu Menjie released her jade lotus disc, and after she boarded with Chen Shang, it flew towards the fragrance city. "Sister Menjie, give me a hug," Chen Shang said in a low voice. "No way, we will be seen and it will not be good." Lu Menjie rejected the request of little rascal. Chen Shang sighed in disappointment, before laying down on the disc. Little rascal, do not always think of something bad, you need to become strong. I'll enter the heavenly realm much quicker than you, by that time. Lu Menger didn't continue to speak. Chen Shang smiled and said, Sister Menger, after you go to the heavenly realm, will you wait for me? But of course. Lu Menger knew Chen Shang was certainly out of ordinary. After the kiss with Chen Shang, she found her own feeling towards him had already become clear. Hearing Lu Menger's affirmation, Chen Shang felt relieved. You can't let Shenxian and Yulin know about this. Lu Menger said with a flush on her face. Thinking of cheating with her only apprentice's husband, she suddenly felt extremely ashamed. She felt very bad, and at the same time, she cursed Chen Shang, this little rascal, who was actually so lascivious, even made a move on his wife's master. Chen Shang sat up, looked towards Lu Menger, took out the azure dragon slaughtering devil blade and said, Sister Menger, now only the whereabouts of the white tiger divine weapon remains unknown. We already have the 3 divine weapons, perhaps after we bring the 3 weapons together, it could produce a contact with the 4th white tiger divine weapon. While speaking, on Chen Zhang's body, the black tortoise adamantine armor already appeared. Staring at Chen Shang wearing a battle armor, looking prestigious and handsome, Lu Menger was in a trance. Last time, after she saw Chen Shang put on the black tortoise adamantine armor, she had a complex mood for Chen Shang. Little rascal, when I was scratching your back, why did you not release the black tortoise adamantine armor? Lu Menger lowered her head and spat. You have the vermilion bird tender thread, I was afraid that if I released it, it would affect your fusion with the fire spirit. Chen Shang grinned, Sister Menger, hurry up and release your vermilion bird divine weapon. Lu Menger nodded her head, waved her tender white hands, only to see a transparent ribbon appear on her hand, wrapped around her body. She looked like a fairy, making Chen Shang stare at her in a daze. When the 3 divine weapons were brought closer together, it exactly happened as Chen Shang had predicted, it really produced a bizarre contact. Very soon, in Chen Shang and Lu Menger's mind, a tiger's roar resounded, filled with slaughtering aura. It can really sense the white tiger divine weapon's location, what the hell is it? Chen Shang muttered. Lu Menger looked at the direction from where the tiger roar came, her voice became rather serious, it came from the direction of the free immortal sea. I heard there is a huge whirlpool in the nearby sea, and every once in a while, it will appear. Is it because there is a mysterious realm? Should be. How often does that whirlpool appears? Chen Shang hastily asked. 3 years, I'll inform you after investigating. Lu Menger said. At this time, she had become very close with Chen Shang, and now her thoughts were mostly for the sake of Chen Shang. Chen Shang nodded his head and received the black tortoise adamantine armor and the azure dragon slaughtering devil blade. Lu Menger was the empress of the divine weapon heavenly empire, of course she would have gathered information regarding the other forces, especially the free immortal sea. For this powerful influence that had suddenly appeared, she had even sent someone undercover. Sister Menger, give me a kiss. Chen Shang pulled Lu Menger's sleeve and said with an evil laugh. Humph, do not give. Lu Menger's attitude was very firm, then softly added, it is not that difficult to see us. And if we are exposed, we will definitely be in trouble. Chapter 276, High Rank Tournament. Chapter 276 High Rank Tournament. Chen Shang stuck out his tongue. Although Lu Menger said so, in his heart, he was still somewhat happy, because the current scenario was not what he had imagined. He had thought Lu Menger would ignore him, but now it seemed Lu Menger acquiesced her feelings. The flying disc's speed had become even faster. Chen Shang knew that after the fusion with the fire spirit, Lu Menger's strength improved by a lot. He was also happy for Lu Menger. We will soon arrive at the fragrance city, Chen Shang said with some excitement. Little rascal, aren't you too anxious to see that seductress, Hua Shangyu? Lu Menger suddenly became extremely jealous as she spoke with a tone filled with jealousy. Chen Shang laughed and said, of course not. Hua Shangyu, although pretty good, but still not as good to me as Sister Menger. She at most had sold the spirit herbs to me at some cheaper price, but Sister Menger and I have gone through life and death. You little rascal, which demon technique did you use to charm that seductress, Hua Shangyu? Lu Menger felt a lot better. What they had experienced together had already laid a foundation for their relationship, while Hua Shangyu, from the start, only wanted to win Chen Shang over, so naturally, her relation was not as good as Lu Menger's with Chen Shang. When they were just about to reach the fragrance city, Lu Menger covered her face with a white muslin and said, we will go to the divine weapon shop in the fragrance city. If you have important business even though you have to look for Hua Shangyu, do not delay because of me. Lu Menjie realized that Chen Shang definitely came to the Fragrance City to participate in the alchemy tournament, and also to purchase some precious herbs. A large auction would be held here. If he processed things through Hua Shangyu, it would naturally be much easier. She didn't want to delay Chen Shang just because of how she felt. Sister Menjie, you're truly good. Chen Shang reluctantly smiled and said. Lu Menjie was like a virtuous wife. He knew Lu Menjie's heart had already been captured by him, and it was only because of some reason that they had yet to break the final layer. Chen Shang, with a hat and a black cloth on his face, followed behind Lu Menjie into the Fragrance City in a quick speed. Many others dressed like them could often be seen in the Fragrance City, because some people were worried about exposing their identity, lest unnecessary trouble would come knocking at their door. After entering the divine weapon shop, just as the owner saw Lu Menjie, he suddenly jumped from shock, then respectfully brought Lu Menjie and Chen Shang on the third floor. Lu Menjie would often come to the Fragrance City in order to buy a large number of dans, that was why the owner so easily recognized her. Here it was also her residence. After entering, Chen Shang shamelessly pestered Lu Menjie, and eventually, Lu Menjie softened as she hugged and kissed Chen Shang. It was also the first time she had a kiss with Chen Shang under clear conscience, and she only promised this once. After kissing, it was already a little more than half an hour, and Lu Menjie was completely flushed red. She scoffed and said, there will be no next time, unless you can, justifiably stay together with me. Chen Shang sighed lightly. Together with Lu Menjie justifiably was easier said than done. Although 3 wives and 6 concubines were common in this world, one must still have the ability to do so, especially to get someone like this goddess, Lu Menjie. Seeing Chen Shang looking dejected, Lu Menjie spat, greedy little rascal, you have Shenxian and Yulin, these 2 beauties, yet you are even having the idea of me. Chen Shang mischievously laughed, who made Sister Menjie become so enticing? No way, besides, I also have a little ability, cough cough, I still have to look for Hua Shangyu. That seductress cannot wait to eat me out completely. Lu Menjie became jealous, she tenderly snorted and said, then leave quickly. Chen Shang happily left. Lu Menjie licked her lips and recalled the feeling from a while ago. She could not help but heave a complex sigh, little rascal, I've spent 6 nirvana tribulations, there are 3 more left. I don't know if I can survive, I just don't want you to be too sad at that time. Nirvana tribulation was very frightening, people who had never experienced it would not understand how nervous Nirvana realm martial artists were, especially when the Nirvana realm was approaching, it was like end of the world. Lu Menjie had crossed 6 Nirvana tribulations, and crossing them was not very easy, in fact, she almost died. Chen Shang had just arrived at the stairs, but after listening to Long Shui conveying this sentence to him, he actually clenched his fists. He obviously knew about Nirvana tribulation. Many Nirvana tribulation martial artists fell in their 8th and 9th tribulation. It was also the reason why even though many sects had been established for many years, there were still a scarce amount of Nirvana realm martial artists. Little rascal, don't bother her too much. It seems her 7th tribulation is about to come. If her mind is not calm, it would be very detrimental to her when her Nirvana tribulation comes. Su Meiyao said. She have the vermilion bird tender thread, and she had also fused with the fire spirit, they will aid her in crossing the tribulation. Bai Yuyu said. She was comforting Chen Shang, and this caused Chen Shang to feel warmth. You can ask Elder Dan or Ji Yu Dongchen to talk about their experience while crossing the 7th tribulation. This information will be very helpful to her. I think it is better to ask Elder Dan, she is a woman, she will surely describe it in more details. Long Shui said. Chen Shang nodded his head. No matter the price, he would make Elder Dan look for Lu Menjie and tell her about her experience in crossing the tribulation. He knew Ji Yu Dongchen's strength was not as good as Elder Dan, that was why Elder Dan must have crossed her 7th Nirvana tribulation. After strolling around outside, Chen Shang inquired about many of the stuff he wanted to know. The first thing he asked about was the auction, and the second was where to register for the alchemy tournament. All in all, the tournament was divided into 3 levels, low-rank tournament, which was for 1st and 2nd level alchemists, middle-rank tournament, which was for 3rd level and 4th level alchemist, and finally, the high-rank tournament, which was for 5th and 6th level alchemist. The high-rank tournament was the most watched tournament, moreover, the rewards were also very rich, making the tournament really worth watching. There are still 3 months left before the registration ends. I do not want to participate in the middle rank, I want to participate in the high rank tournament. Chen Shang clenched his fist, then rushed towards the Danxiang Tower. At the very least, you have to be a 5th level alchemist, and the bar is too high for becoming a 5th level alchemist. Su Meiyao said. Chen Shang arrived at the Danxiang Tower. Each floor had a plaque, representing each level of alchemist. He remembered that the 5th level of the alchemist was more detailed compared to previous levels. The 5th level alchemist is divided into low level, medium level and high level. The low level requires the capability to refine 3 kinds of low-grade profound level dans. Now I can refine the elemental spirit dan and the building foundation dan, I am only short of 1 dan. Chen Shang clenched his fist, he was secretly excited, it is enough, I can register for the high-rank tournament if I can become a 5th level low-level alchemist. The elemental spirit dan and the building foundation dan had a relatively high content of metal. And because the ingredients for refining building foundation dans were lacking, when refining low-grade profound level dan, many will not choose refining building foundation dan. It was also true for the ingredients of the elemental spirit dan, moreover, its refining difficulty was also big. If Chen Shang didn't have a fire spirit or had much experience in refining the building foundation dans, he probably would have failed too many times. In Su Meiyao's opinion, his 99 failures were already very rare and heaven-defying. Because it was too difficult to refine the profound level dans, no matter what kind of profound level dan it was, as long one could refine it, it meant the improvement of their alchemy level. That was why 5th level alchemists and above ranks were once again divided. Otherwise, in light with the previous low levels, one must at least be able to refine 3 kinds of middle-grade profound level dans before their alchemy level would improve. Chapter 277, 100 Beasts Dan. Chapter 277 100 Beasts Dan. Among the low-grade profound level dans, there were some which were rather easy to refine, however, these dans seemed to be of no use to many people, and their herbs were expensive. These kinds of dans only had one advantage, and that was to be used for practice. Although herbs were very expensive, they were still not as rare as the herbs for the building foundation dan and the elemental spirit dan. Chen Shang decided to go for the 100 Beasts dan. This dan was comparatively easy to refine, but it was among the less useful type. Because the herbs were expensive, and the refining difficulty was a little harder than the high-grade spirit level dans, it was included in the low-grade profound level dan. The 100 Beasts dan was mainly used to feed or lure spirit beasts. It was greatly appealing to all spirit beasts from grade 1 to grade 9, it was a dan which could make spirit beasts advance their level, however, to humans, it had no effect whatsoever. That was why it was not among the useful dans, yet it was still sold in certain markets, especially for those who were raising their own spirit beasts, to them, it was an essential dan. Among the low-grade profound level dans, there were other kinds of dans, but those were not commonly used. There were a good several kinds of detoxification dans, healing dans, as well as some dans which were rather useful for specific purposes. They were also relatively more difficult to refine, however, as long as an alchemist has mastered the basics of refining the building foundation dans and the elemental spirit dans, refining these dans would not be that difficult. The herbs of the low-grade profound level dans are all very expensive, it seems I really have to look for that seductress, Hua Shangyu. Chen Shang said in a low voice as he climbed up the Danxiang Tower. There were some herbs which were not open for sale to the public. Only someone with special demands and good relations with the Danxiang Taoyuan could buy these herbs. This was Danxiang Taoyuan way to prevent them from being bought by hostile forces or devil path sects. Chen Zhang's relation with the Danxiang Taoyuan was very good. Last time, he had saved the disciples of Danxiang Taoyuan, and he himself was very familiar with Hua Shangyu. Not to mention in the southern wasteland, he had once again saved the disciples of the Danxiang Taoyuan. In the tower, Chen Shang didn't reveal his identity, he only said he had important business and wanted to discuss with Mrs. Li. Mrs. Li, once she saw a man with half his face covered, could not help but frown. At this time, she suddenly heard a voice transmitted into her ear. Mrs. Li, it's me Chen Shang. Chen Zhang's voice was like cemented into a wire, which was transmitted directly into Mrs. Li's ears, causing Mrs. Li to be slightly surprised. She nodded her head to Chen Shang, and then took Chen Shang to higher floor. Young Master Chen, I know you will come. Dean had told me that once young Master Chen arrived at the Fragrance City, he have to be treated as a VIP. Mrs. Li said with a kind smile. Dean, the Danxiang Taoyuan's Dean actually thought so highly of him, and this made him a little flattered. He laughed and said, Mrs. Li, I already have a place to lodge, I came here to buy spirit herbs, and I need to buy them in bulk. Young Master Chen, what if I let you talk with Manager Hua? She is not far from here, and she will be able to come here quickly. If the amount is too large, it's better to deal with her. Mrs. Li was somewhat surprised. A while ago, the extreme martial sect had just purchased a large number of dans from the Danxiang Taoyuan, but now Chen Shang also wanted to carry out a bigger trade. A brat that could have so much wealth was rather marvelous. Mrs. Li knew that Chen Shang could refine the building foundation dan, but knowing how to refine didn't mean he had already refined countless building foundation dans. For this, she felt it was quite a pity. Chen Shang waited for less than half an hour before Hua Shangyu arrived. Once she saw it was Chen Shang, she let out a soft snort. Little guy, aren't you overflowing with riches? Yet you're still looking for a discount from me, huh? It was obvious that only after Hua Shangyu had dressed herself well did she come. She wore a snow-white longuette, which revealed her white and jade-like pretty shoulders, as well as her delicate and beautiful collarbone. Along with a beautiful red glistening hair ornament, Hua Shangyu was rather enticing. With a slightly shaking shiny gemstone earrings, this stunner at the moment was the most charming woman Chen Shang had ever seen. Seeing Chen Zhang's dazed appearance, Hua Shangyu was proud in her heart. She walked to the chair beside Chen Shang and gracefully sat down. Her delicate fragrance wafted towards Chen Shang, and after it drifted into Chen Zhang's nose, he could not help but feel refreshed. Hua Shangyu, this charming and mature, had a dismissive smile hanging on her face. She said in a mocking tone, "Little rascal, am I beautiful today?" Chen Shang nodded his head and spoke very seriously, "Very beautiful. If you take off your clothes, you will be definitely more beautiful. Although you are already very beautiful, I feel you will be a lot more beautiful without them." Hua Shangyu suddenly began giggling, "You little rascal have not changed a bit. What do you want to buy? Speak quickly." "Right, you little rascal actually hid from me that you know how to refine building foundation dans, so hateful." Speaking till here, for some unknown reason, Hua Shangyu became angry, which left Chen Shang somewhat baffled. "I want the herbs for the 100 beasts dan, aside from the spirit beast's core and the auxiliary herbs, I want the rest." Chen Shang had a lot of monster cores. In the southern wasteland, he had even killed a profound beast and obtained the devil elemental nuclei, which could also be used for refining 100 beasts dan. Hua Shangyu was somewhat shocked. She did not know why Chen Shang wanted to refine 100 beasts dan, and it seemed he needed a lot of materials. "How many sets do you want?" Hua Shangyu asked. "Beast elemental fruit, spirit beast grass, clover roots, demon flower, these 4. Chen Shang nodded his head. "First give me 50 sets. "So many?" Hua Shangyu shouted in surprise. "You want to do what?" Chen Shang smiled and said, "Of course it's for alchemy. I am planning to become a 5th-level alchemist, albeit low level, but with this, I can participate in the high-rank tournament." "Little rascal, don't you know only to refine building foundation dan? That is a rather common among the low-grade profound-level dans. As far as I know, among the low-grade profound-level dans, only the building foundation dan and the 100 beast dan are relatively easy to refine. As for the others, either the herbs are rare, or they are very difficult to refine. Now with only 3 months left, it is certainly too late. You obediently register for the middle rank tournament," Hua Shangyu advised. "I do not want you to waste your money on these irrelevant matter." Chen Shang just smiled. "Shangyu, let's make a gamble then. If in 3 months I can become a 5th-level alchemist, give me a kiss." Hua Shangyu tenderly snorted before decisively denying, "I'll rather not bet." This left Chen Shang somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Hua Shangyu to actually refuse so decisively. Chen Shang stuck out his tongue, then asked, "Sister Hua, approximately how many crystal stones should I need to pay you? Do you have enough materials here?" "Don't worry about it. There is no one to buy them for too long. The ingredients must be moldy by now. Although this stuff is good for practice, its refining time is too long. Unless there is a large number of spirit beasts to nurture, its usefulness is not that great." Hua Shangyu, seeing Chen Shang was so resolute, could only give up. "Each set for 200,000 crystal stones, it is lot cheaper for you." Chen Shang, regarding this price, was also quite satisfied, because from one set, he could refine 7 to 8 dans, which could be sold for 200 to 300,000 crystal stones. However, the total amount he had to pay was about 10 million crystal stones, which caused Chen Zhang's heart to ache. For this, he had to pay 2,000 true elemental dans. Before arriving, he had brought more than 10,000 true elemental dans. He didn't expect to suddenly be relieved of so many. What he was most worried about was whether these true elemental dans would be enough for the auction. Chapter 278, Disappeared Mainland. Chapter 278 Disappeared Mainland. Hua Shangyu, seeing Chen Zhang's somewhat painful appearance, was secretly pleased. Take it, I wish you can be successful, but according to my experience, unless you have not failed this 100 beasts dan 100 to 200 times, you will not be successful. Hua Shangyu handed the 4 main herbs of the 100 beasts dan to Chen Shang. Chen Shang received them over, smiled and said, these 50 are enough for me to be successful, don't you know I'm an alchemy genius? But I truly didn't expect you to carry so many spirit herbs on you. That is of course, I'm the one in charge of Danxiang Taoyuan. Hua Shangyu, to Chen Zhang's words, was doubtful. She had never heard of anyone becoming successful in refining the 100 beasts dan in just 50 tries. Chen Shang pretended to be surprised, so to say, Sister Hua, you are a rich madam. Hey, are you now regretting not receiving me as your maid? Hua Shangyu teasingly said, extended her beautiful hands and lightly stroked Chen Zhang's cheek. Those pair of watery eyes stared at Chen Shang flirtatiously and with affection. They were glistening in tempting and captivating splendor, causing Chen Shang to fiercely gulp down a mouthful of saliva. But of course, if you were my maid, I'd have you accompany me to sleep every day and bath with me together. Chen Shang lightly held Hua Shangyu's tender and beautiful hands, and said with an evil laugh. Feeling her hands lightly stroked by Chen Shang, she could not help but feel somewhat ashamed as a light red glow appeared on her face. She wanted to retract her hands, but Chen Shang was still holding them tightly. She didn't expect Chen Shang to actually be so bold and frivolous. Only after Chen Shang had thoroughly enjoyed the feeling of holding Hua Shangyu's tender hands, did he release them, which made Hua Shangyu tenderly spat a mouthful. I'll leave you a room here for you to refine dans. This is the safest location in the fragrance city. Chen Shang shook his head, laughed and said, no need. I have a place to stay. I feel I will be much more safer there than here. Do you mean the divine weapon shop? Hua Shangyu did not know why, but in her mind, Lu Menger's silhouette immediately popped out, causing her voice to be filled with jealousy. Congratulations, you guessed it correctly. Chen Shang grinned, then turned around to leave. What is the relation between you and Lu Menger? Hua Shangyu asked in a tender tone, stopping Chen Shang on his tracks and not letting him leave. Whatever relation I have with her, is it part of your business? Chen Shang pursed his lips and said, making Hua Shangyu to pout and stamp her foot. You little rascal, aren't you aware of what's in my mind? Hua Shangyu pinched his arm. Chen Shang sat down, and in a complaining tone, he said, Sister Shangyu, just a moment ago you received 2,000 true elemental dans from me. Of course I understand your intentions. Humph, little rascal, tell me honestly, what is your relation with Lu Menger? Hua Shangyu, with a rather serious look, asked. Chen Shang couldn't understand why these women would all be this sensitive. Before, it was Lu Menger who had asked his relation with Hua Shangyu, and now it was Hua Shangyu who was asking the very same question about his relation with Lu Menger. My wife is her apprentice, and she is good to her apprentice, so she also treats her apprentice's husband better. It is precisely this kind of relation. Like a sister, she is very kind to me. Chen Shang said. He promised Lu Menger that he would never speak of their relation to anyone. I don't believe you, there is certainly something fishy. Although it seems ridiculous, I still believe my instincts. In the southern wasteland, Hua Shangyu had discovered the look in the eyes of Chen Shang and Lu Menger was rather different. Moreover, both of them would occasionally glance at each other, although it was not obvious, she still caught it. Hua Shangyu was certainly jealous. Even if Chen Shang was blind, from her tone, it was impossible for him not to notice. However, he was not clear about Hua Shangyu's motive. He and Lu Menger could be so close, because he and Lu Menger had experienced many things. In addition, they both knew too many of each other's secret, and Chen Zhang's huge potential also played a big part in bringing them both closer. Hua Shangyu also knew when to stop. She could guess the reason why Chen Shang refused to admit it. It was all for confidentiality, that was why she also didn't want to be entangled in this matter. Little rascal, have you ever gone back to the secular world? Hua Shangyu asked. I still have not. I intend to wait for the Danxiang Taoyuan grand meeting to end. After that, I'll go back. Chen Shang said. He too very much missed his father. Hua Shangyu lightly sighed. It seems Lu Menger have not told you and Shui Shenxian about the secular world. The whole secular world suddenly disappeared, only a big ocean was left. What? Chen Shang fiercely stood up. He stared at Hua Shangyu with a look of disbelief. Lu Menjie definitely knows about this, even your dean knows about it. Last time, he and I had a talk about it. Hua Shangyu said. Chen Zhang's whole body trembled as his mind went blank. Since the secular world had disappeared, then what about his father and the Chen family? Where did they go? I will go take a look. Just as Chen Shang had said this, Hua Shangyu grabbed his arm. Don't worry, they are definitely all right. The only thing that's for sure is that the secular world is not submerged by the sea. The entire piece of mainland suddenly disappeared. It is the same as some legend in the Qinwu mainland. That was why your dean and Lu Menjie didn't tell you. Chen Shang calmed down and asked, what legend? According to legend, before the great calamity befell, the secular world will suddenly disappear. After the great calamity is over, it will be back again. Afterwards, there will be many frightening corpses on it. That scene was too horrifying. As Hua Shangyu spoke, her face was filled with fear. Corpses. Immortal and Devil Cliff, corpses of immortals and devils. Chen Shang immediately thought of this, then though of Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu being lured to the Immortal and Devil Cliff by their enemy. However, that was the secular world. How could there be powerful immortals and devils? And Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu didn't seem to be inhabitants of the secular world. Do you mean to say? Chen Shang suddenly thought of something. In his heart, he was shocked. In light with all of this, the secular world might have gone to the heavenly realm. You do not have to worry about it. The secular world will be back, and its residents will all be safe. Hua Shangyu comforted. Chen Shang heaved a long sigh. His mood was very low. At this time, Bai Yuyu said, she is speaking the truth. The secular world will be back, however, it will still need some time. Little rascal, do not think too much about it. Just concentrate on improving your strength. It will certainly help you during the Battle of Three Realms. In the southern wasteland, the devil god was already eyeing on you. By the time the battle begins, you will be in great danger. Su Meiyao said. Chen Shang left the Danxiang Tower and returned to the divine weapon shop. Lu Menjie had already familiarized herself with the new power of the fire spirit. At the moment, when she saw Chen Zhang's complexion was not good, she asked in a concerned manner, what happened? Sister Menjie, do you already know about the disappearance of the secular world? Chen Shang, with a lowered head, asked. Lu Menjie lightly sighed and said, was it Hua Shangyu? Why is it that this seductress doesn't have any sense of propriety? Why did she tell you these things? Chen Shang knew Lu Menjie had concealed this not only to him, but to Shui Shenxian too. However, he also knew that it was all for their sake. That was why he didn't blame Lu Menjie. Chapter 279, Cheering Up. Chapter 279 Cheering Up. TLN. Hi guys, I made a mistake in translating the herb for the 100 Beasts Dan. The clover roots Sanyi Shu Zhen I translated was wrong. With 3 leaves in the raws, I assumed it was referring to clover, yet while translating chapter 280 I came to realize I was wrong. Some may have read the correct translation, because it was rectified a day later, but I failed to notify you. The correct translation for this is 3 leaves plant roots. Sorry for inconvenience. Lu Menjie, after seeing Chen Zhang's dejected appearance, was a little angry. I will go and have a talk with Hua Shangyu. I knew it. After you get this information, you will be like this. Don't go, I'm all right. Chen Shang forcefully smiled. He did not want the two of them to have a conflict. Lu Menjie patted Chen Zhang's head and comforted. Nothing will happen to your relatives, you do not have to worry about them. I shouldn't have concealed this from you, I should have already told you. At this time, a sound arrived with a little jealousy. Sister Menjie, you really should have told him, it was not good to hide it from him. Hua Shangyu arrived, and she was actually so direct. Lu Menjie lightly scoffed. Well, Hua Shangyu was now finally sure that Chen Shang, this little rascal, indeed has a very affectionate relation with Lu Menjie. Hua Shangyu following him here was totally out of Chen Zhang's expectation. There is a barrier in the secular world. If he doesn't know about this, and if he went there blindly, he will be injured by the barrier. Originally, there was not any barrier around there, but now it is there. Hua Shangyu's complexion was somewhat solemn. She sat beside Chen Shang, but what left Chen Shang surprised was the fact that Lu Menjie was actually pouring tea for Hua Shangyu. The relationship between the two was not as bad as he had imagined. If not for Chen Zhang's bad mood, he would have definitely molested these two noble beauty a little. However, looking at these two extremely charming and enticing stunners who could cause the downfall of a country, his mood was also a little better. Fire spirit. Hua Shangyu jerked from shock. crushing the teacup in her hands, causing the fragrant tea to spill. Chen Xiang and Lu Menjie were also startled. Hua Shangyu could sense that the fire qi being released from Lu Menjie's body was different from the past. Now it was a lot more fearsome, and this kind of bizarre fire qi was precisely the characteristic trait of a fused fire spirit. Seductress, do you also have it? Lu Menjie was also surprised. She had already concealed it deeply, yet it was perceived by Hua Shangyu. Under ordinary circumstances, only those who was in possession of the fire spirit could sense it. Hua Shangyu shook her head and looked at Chen Xiang. She was rather suspicious that Lu Menjie obtaining a fire spirit was somehow related to Chen Xiang. Last time, in the southern wasteland, Lu Menjie didn't have the fire spirit. Menjie, you cannot tell it to anyone, I'll also not reveal it. Hua Shangyu said in a heavy tone. Lu Menjie nodded her head, I know. Since Chen Zhang's mood was not very good, he returned early to the room to rest. He was a bit surprised by Hua Shangyu's and Lu Menjie's relationship. From how they were calling each other, he could easily see it. Chen Xiang laid down on the bed and slightly sighed. At the moment, Bai Yuyu became rather talkative, and all of her words were for comforting Chen Xiang. Although she wasn't that good in comforting, her attempt to comfort Chen Xiang left him very moved. Su Meiyao, for this, was also surprised. Her usually frosty senior sister actually knew how to comfort someone. Chen Zhang's mood was a lot better now. Just as he was about to begin alchemy, someone came knocking at his door. Little rascal, quickly open the door. It was Hua Shangyu's voice. Generally, only Lu Menjie called him as such, and now she too was calling him so, which left Chen Xiang to wonder whether Lu Menjie had told something to Hua Shangyu. After Chen Xiang opened the door, he immediately saw the teasing smile hanging on Hua Shangyu's face. Little rascal, a comparatively large auction is going to be held in 2 months. By then, you and Sister Menjie will have VIP box. What did you talk about? Chen Xiang pursed his lips and said somewhat helplessly. Before, he had to be very secretive, yet Lu Menjie did not keep the secret, which made him a little unhappy. Nothing, just that you are a little rascal. Hua Shangyu mischievously laughed and said, I came to say goodbye. If you have something to look for me, I'll stay in the Danxiang Tower for some time. After Hua Shangyu left, Chen Xiang thought of asking Lu Menjie what did she talk about with Hua Shangyu, but just as he arrived at Lu Menjie's door, he saw a notice stuck on her door, Do not disturb, in closed-door cultivation. Even after knocking for a while, he still did not get any response. No one is inside, maybe she left to find your wife, Shenxian. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang shook his head with a sigh. If so, she must have gone to tell Shui Shenxian about the disappearance of the secular world. After returning to the room, Chen Xiang took out the alchemical furnace and began refining the 100 Beasts Dan, while Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu both appeared inside the room. Relax, Shui is on the lookout. Your sister Menjie is not here, we came out for fresh air. Su Meiyao stretched her exhausted waist and directly laid down on the bed. Bai Yuyu also sat down on the bed while playing with some pretty jewelry Chen Xiang had bought today. The clothes these two were wearing were all bought by Chen Xiang, and all of them were very beautiful and were relatively of the latest style. Both of them were wearing longuette made up of chiffon, partly hiding and partly revealing their white legs and jade-like arms, which was a feast to Chen Zhang's eyes. Although Bai Yuyu still had that cold look hanging on her face, to Chen Xiang, it still felt a lot more gentle. Especially with that gentleness in her eyes peering at him, Chen Zhang's heartbeat became faster. Thinking of Bai Yuyu comforting him before, Chen Xiang felt sweet. From being depressed, Chen Xiang suddenly became high-spirited. He immediately took out the herbs and began to process them. He wanted to quickly restore Su Meiyao's and Bai Yuyu's strength, and let them see the light of day. He very much wanted them to live with no worries, and boldly walk among the crowd wearing the clothes he had bought for them. On one side, Chen Xiang processed those herbs, while on the other, he listened to Su Meiyao imparting him her experience with regards to the 100 Beasts Dan. From Su Meiyao's words, Chen Xiang knew refining that 100 Beasts Dan was not too difficult. Little dragon, is this 100 Beasts Dan suitable for you to eat? Chen Xiang teasingly said, which caused Long Shui to let out a spit. Do you think this dragon is the same as those low-rank spirit beasts? Of course it is not appropriate for me. Long Shui retorted with a pout. She sat on the bed between the two, so that she could eat the Dan fed by the two. It appeared that she was like a little princess. Chen Xiang, at this time, surprisingly found that this little girl actually grew up a bit. Before, she had the appearance of a 10 years old, but now she appeared to be 12 to 13 years old, with a slightly bulging chest. Her chest had already begun to take shape, and her head also grew up a little, giving an even cuter look. Chen Shang mischievously laughed, "After I have refined it, then do not ask me, okay?" The 100 Beasts Dan was a low-grade profound level Dan, and for spirit beasts, it was very advantageous, even if it was a 9th-grade spirit beast. Although the building foundation Dan could release a rather large amount of true qi, it was not very useful to the spirit beasts. In Chen Zhang's knowledge, a dragon was also a beast. That was why the 100 beasts should be suitable for Long Shui, which was also the reason he chose to refine the 100 beasts Dan. Chen Shang had experienced refining the building foundation Dan and the elemental spirit Dan, and he knew that refining the 100 beasts Dan was actually quite easy. Although he would fail many times at the beginning, but after each failure, he would have significant progress. Chapter 280, 100 Beasts Dan. Chapter 280 100 Beasts Dan. The 100 Beasts Dan was a bit difficult to refine. To be precise, the difficulty lies in the fusion of the large amount of life essence in the monster core with the herbs. It was also the first time Chen Shang was using so many spirit beast cores for alchemy. Beast element fruit, spirit beast grass, 3 leaves plant roots and demon flower, these 4 herbs were rather expensive, but they were not counted as something too precious. Such as the beast elemental fruit, spirit beast grass, demon flower, they could be found in places where they're with full of spirit beasts. However, they were guarded by powerful spirit beasts, so only stronger martial artists could fetch them. These kind of spirit herbs had energy, but it was all advantageous to spirit beasts, because of their special constitution. To humans, although they were still somewhat useful, their use was still very minimal. 3 leaves plant roots were roots of a very peculiar tree. On this tree, 3 different shapes of leaves were growing, and even each of their color was rather different. Its root could also regrow, giving birth to a special energy, which was very useful to spirit beasts and could enhance the constitution of spirit beasts. The spirit beast's core had a large amount of life essence and spirit beast's energy accumulated in it. It was equivalent to a human's true qi, and it also had an incomparably pure energy. At this time, Chen Shang was controlling a significantly large amount of beast essence, and fusing it with various herbal powder of different characteristics. The goal of doing this was to congeal them into a Dan. Last time when he refined the elemental spirit Dan, Chen Zhang's divine soul was only an infant, but now it was 10 years old. His current divine sense was worlds apart compared with the past, which let him refine Dans with twice the work with half the effort, giving him an even more subtle control over the furnace. With the fierce swaying of the brilliant flame dragon furnace, Chen Shang let out muffled shout, before the furnace stabilized. As Chen Shang opened his eyes, a slight smile appeared on his face. After failing for 25 times, I have finally successful. Only a day had passed, and the result had left both Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu very satisfied. The faster Chen Zhang's progress was, the faster they could restore their strength. 8 Dans. Chen Shang opened the lid, only to see 8 Dans glistening with an azure aura, accompanied by the rise of the elemental qi of the monster core. He picked up a Dan and threw it to Long Shui as he laughed and said, "Little dragon, give it a try." Long Shui, although she still caught it, had an unhappy look as she solemnly said, "I'm a dragon, not those low-rank spirit beasts. These kind of Dans are the same to me as they are for humans, completely useless." Although she said so, seeing such a beautiful Dan that was even exuding such an enticing breath, made her fiercely gulp down her saliva as it also made her lick her lips. In Long Shui's eyes, this 100 Beast Dan was a lot better than the building foundation Dans. Especially that kind of herb fragrance, it made her completely unable to resist, causing her to almost drool, not to mention the rich energy present inside the Dan. This 100 Beasts Dan, in her eyes, was the same as a sumptuous feast. Her current appearance made Chen Shang and the 2 beauties to burst into laughter in their heart. Just a few moments ago, she firmly spoke that this 100 Beasts Dan was not good enough for her dragon lineage, yet her current expression of wanting to eat but unable to eat, made the onlookers want to laugh. The little greedy dragon was, after all, a little greedy dragon. She had always flagrantly eaten so many Dans, and she had already stopped caring about it and just threw aside her dignity as a dragon. She put the 100 Beasts Dan in her mouth and carefully chewed it into fine pieces. It was first time for Chen Shang to see her be so careful while eating a Dan. In the past, every time she ate a Dan, it was like she was having rice, stuffing a bunch of them in her mouth. "It tastes good, right?" Chen Shang laughed and said. Long Shui nodded her head, her pair of watery eyes were peering at Chen Zhang's furnace. The dragons are the emperor of all beasts. Although the 100 beasts Dan is a little crude, it is barely good enough for a dragon. Quickly give me a few more, these kind of dans are of no use to you humans. Chen Shang and Su Meiyao suddenly started laughing. Before, she had said it was useless to her, yet now she was treating them as a treasure. Bai Yu, even with her ice-cold complexion, had a sliver of smile hanging on her face. After Chen Shang saw this, he endlessly praised in his heart. This frosty woman began laughing, like inside a land of snow, there was a warm and proud red plum blooming. Chen Shang gave Long Shui a few dans, they were indeed rather useless to him. Refining the 100 beasts Dan was very quick. Chen Shang, in 1 hour, was able to refine it twice, with 10 dans each time. Now he still had some herbs left, and taking advantage of his enthusiastic mood, he refined the rest of the herbs in one breath, successfully refining the 100 beasts Dan 20 times, although he failed a couple of times. Right now, he already had 200 dans. 2 days passed, yet there was still no sign of Lu Menger. These past 2 days, Su Meiyao and Bai Yu were both inside his room, having fun with Long Shui. Chen Shang, in order to let them play, did not leave and guarded them. All 3 girls could not walk around, and he knew that this was a rare opportunity. Chen Shang of course was going to let them have fun to their heart's content. Do not care about us. If you need to do something, then it is all right to go. Bai Yu walked beside Chen Shang. Although her voice was cold as ice, there was a trace of inexplicable gentleness in it. Little rascal, are you going to look for that seductress, Hua Shangyu? Su Meiyao asked with a laugh. I want her to take me to grab some spirit beast. Chen Shang nodded his head. Originally, he wanted Lu Menger to take him out, but Lu Menger wasn't here. Bai Yu said, you have to buy a profound beast bag, however, it is very expensive. The profound beast bag specializes in storing demon beasts and spirit beasts. It was only suitable for using on the beasts, and if humans were stored inside, they would very quickly meet their end. It was also very expensive, and generally, only those martial artists who could reign formidable spirit beasts or profound beasts would buy it. Ask your sister Menger to refine one for you. It will only take her 1 or 2 days, moreover, she has a fire spirit now. Her speed will certainly be quicker. Su Meiyao spoke while laughing. She arrived beside Chen Shang and played with his hair. With the 100 beasts Dan, the spirit beasts could be lured, making it easier to catch them. In addition, if one could also acquire a spirit beast's recognition, and as long as a contract was established, the spirit beast would be reined in. 3 days went by again, yet Lu Menger had still not returned. Chen Shang could not wait anymore, so he left the divine weapon shop and arrived at the Danxiang Tower. Once he entered the Danxiang Tower, Hua Shangyu immediately came, and he too was able to sense Hua Shangyu. Little rascal, you only came looking for sister after so long. Are you doing well now? Hua Shangyu mischievously laughed and said. Today, she wore a very common dress and tights, yet along with her ponytail, she looked very beautiful and enticing. Chen Shang laughed and said, I am a lot better. I want to catch a spirit beast, but I'm worried I'll encounter a rather powerful spirit beast, that's why I'd like to ask Sister Shangyu for help. Oh, does it mean you can already refine 100 beasts Dan? Only a few days have passed. Hua Shangyu was shocked, her charming eyebrows knitted together. She extended her palm and said, let me have a look at your 100 beasts Dan. Chen Shang took out few dans and handed them over to her, these are what I refined after using up all the herbs. Hua Shangyu, after seeing the azure dans, was dazed, impossible. Your failures didn't exceed 50 times, and only in just a few days, you were actually successful. You have not refined it before, right? No, what's so difficult about it? Chen Shang pursed his lips and said, he was successful in just a day. Then, Hua Shangyu grabbed Chen Shang, jumped out from the high Danxiang Tower, and in the blink of an eye, they were outside the fragrance city. Chen Zhang's body was almost unable to bear this kind of frightening speed. Chapter 281, Capturing the Beast.